Genesis. In the grand tapestry of existence, at the very dawn of time, God brought into being the heavens and the earth, a realm of limitless potential. Initially, the earth existed in a state of primordial chaos, a formless and desolate expanse, cloaked in impenetrable darkness that stretched across the abyss. The Spirit of God, a divine presence, hovered majestically over the vast, churning waters, a silent guardian awaiting the moment of creation. And then, with the power of the divine word, God spoke, "Let there be light," and instantly, light burst forth, illuminating the darkness and banishing the void. God, beholding the radiant beauty of the light, recognized its intrinsic goodness. He then meticulously separated light from darkness, establishing a fundamental dichotomy that would govern the cycles of time. God designated the light as day, a time of activity and growth, and the darkness he named night, a period of rest and reflection. Thus marked the end of the evening and the beginning of the morning, the completion of the first day of creation. And God spoke again, "Let there be an expanse between the waters, a firmament to separate water from water." And so, God sculpted the expanse, creating a vast division between the waters below and the waters above. He called this expanse sky, a boundless realm that arched over the world. The lower waters would form the seas and oceans, while the upper waters would exist as clouds and rain, nurturing the land. And there was evening and there was morning, completing the second day. Then, God proclaimed, "Let the water under the sky be gathered together into one place, and let dry ground appear." And as God commanded, the waters receded, revealing continents and islands, the foundations of habitable land. God named the dry ground land, and the collected waters seas, establishing the basic geographical features of the planet. God surveyed his creation and acknowledged its inherent goodness. Following this, God commanded, "Let the land bring forth vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." Immediately, the earth responded, bursting forth with a vibrant array of plant life. Seed-bearing plants and fruit-bearing trees sprouted across the landscape, each meticulously crafted according to its unique species. The earth was now adorned with a diverse and bountiful flora. God, in his wisdom, saw that it was good. Thus, evening passed and morning arrived, marking the conclusion of the third day. And God decreed, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark seasons and days and years. And let them be lights in the expanse of the sky to give light on the earth." Instantly, celestial bodies materialized. God crafted two great lights, the greater light, the sun, to govern the day, and the lesser light, the moon, to govern the night. He also scattered countless stars across the heavens, each a point of light in the vast darkness. God set these lights in the sky to illuminate the earth, to regulate the passage of time, and to separate light from darkness. God recognized the inherent goodness of his handiwork. And evening occurred, followed by morning, the completion of the fourth day. God then commanded, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky." Responding to God's command, the waters erupted with a myriad of life. Great sea creatures and countless smaller beings filled the oceans, and birds of every kind took flight, soaring across the skies. God saw that it was good. God blessed these creatures, saying, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." The cycle of evening and morning completed the fifth day. And God continued, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind." The land responded, giving birth to a diverse range of animal life. Livestock grazed peacefully, creatures crawled and scurried, and wild animals roamed freely. God surveyed his creation and saw that it was good. Then, in a moment of profound significance, God declared, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." Thus, God created man in his own image, both male and female. He blessed them, bestowing upon them the power of procreation and the responsibility of stewardship. God said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Then God provided for their sustenance, saying, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth and all the birds of the air and all the creatures that move on the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Chapter 2. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array, a testament to God's boundless power and creativity. By the seventh day God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day he rested from all his work. And God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created. When the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, and no shrub of the field had yet appeared on the earth, and no plant of the field had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no man to work the ground, but streams came up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. The Lord God formed the man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. And the Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A river watering the garden flowed from Eden. From there it was separated into 4 headwaters. The name of the first is Passion. It winds through the entire land of Havilah where there is gold. The gold of that land is good. Aromatic resin and onyx are also there. The name of the second river is Gone. It winds through the entire land of Cush. The name of the third river is Tigris. It runs along the east side of Asher. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And the Lord God commanded the man, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat of it, you will surely die." The Lord God then observed, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." Now the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the beasts of the field and all the birds of the air. He brought them to the man to see what he would name them. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. So the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds of the air, and all the beasts of the field. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. The man, upon seeing her, exclaimed, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. For this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh." The man and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. Chapter 3. Now the serpent, the most cunning of all the wild animals the Lord God had made, approached the woman with a question. "Serpent, did God really say, 'You must not eat from any tree in the garden?' Woman, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, 'You must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die.' Serpent, you will not surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she succumbed to temptation. She took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. Then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God called to the man, Lord God, where are you? Man, I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked. So I hid. Lord God, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from? Man, the woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it. Then the Lord God turned to the woman. Lord God, what is this you have done? Woman, the serpent deceived me and I ate. So the Lord God spoke to the serpent. Because you have done this, cursed are you above all the livestock and all the wild animals. You will crawl on your belly, and you will eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. To the woman, he said, I will greatly increase your pains in childbearing. With pain you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. To Adam, he declared, because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat of it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return. Adam named his wife Eve, because she would become the mother of all the living. The Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. And the Lord God declared, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. So the Lord God banished him from the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which he had been taken. After he drove the man out, he placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. Chapter 4. Adam lay with his wife Eve, and she conceived and gave birth to Cain. Eve declared, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man. Later, she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. But Abel brought fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must master it. Now Cain spoke to his brother Abel, suggesting, let's go out to the field. And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord questioned Cain, Lord, where is your brother Abel? Cain, I don't know, he replied. Am I my brother's keeper? Lord, what have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth. Cain, my punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. Lord, not so. If anyone kills Cain, he will suffer vengeance 7 times over. Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Cain lay with his wife, and she conceived and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad was the father of Mehujael, and Mehujael was the father of Methuselah, and Methuselah was the father of Lamech. Lamech married 2 women, one named Adah and the other Zillah. Adah gave birth to Jabal. He was the father of those who live in tents and raise livestock. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all who play the harp and flute. Zillah also had a son, Tubal-Cain, who forged all kinds of tools out of bronze and iron. Tubal-Cain's sister was Naamah. Lamech boasted to his wives, Adah and Zillah, listen to me. Wives of Lamech, hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. Adam lay with his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth, saying, God has granted me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him. Seth also had a son, and he named him Enosh. At that time, men began to call on the name of the Lord. Chapter 5. This is the written account of Adam's line. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female and blessed them. And when they were created, he called them man. When Adam had lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness, in his own image, and he named him Seth. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Adam lived 930 years, and then he died. When Seth had lived 105 years, he became the father of Enosh. And after he became the father of Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether Seth lived 912 years, and then he died. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Kenan. And after he became the father of Kenan, Enosh lived 815 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enosh lived 905 years, and then he died. When Kenan had lived 70 years, he became the father of Mahalalel. And after he became the father of Mahalalel, Kenan lived 840 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Kenan lived 910 years, and then he died. When Mahalalel had lived 65 years, he became the father of Jared. And after he became the father of Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Mahalalel lived 895 years. And then he died. When Jared had lived 162 years, he became the father of Enoch. And after he became the father of Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Jared lived 962 years. And then he died. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. And after he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enoch lived 365 years. Enoch walked with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he became the father of Lamech. And after he became the father of Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Methuselah lived 969 years, and then he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he had a son. He named him Noah and said, He will comfort us in the labor and painful toil of our hands caused by the ground the Lord has cursed. After Noah was born, Lamech lived 595 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Lamech lived 777 years and then he died. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Chapter 6. When men began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great man's wickedness on the earth had become, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil all the time. The Lord was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. So the Lord declared, I will wipe mankind, whom I have created, from the face of the earth, men and animals, and creatures that move along the ground, and birds of the air, for I am grieved that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. This is the account of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Make a roof for it and finish the ark to within 18 inches of the top. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I am going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. Every creature that has the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark. You and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, and of every kind of creature that scurries across the earth. 2 will seek you out, Noah, drawn by an unseen force to be preserved. Gather to yourself every conceivable type of sustenance, a veritable pantry, and store it carefully within the ark's embrace. This bounty will nourish both you and the creatures under your care during the long, arduous journey ahead. Noah, ever obedient, meticulously carried out each and every instruction laid forth by the divine. Chapter 7. Then the Lord, his voice resonating with divine authority, spoke once more to Noah. Step into the ark, Noah, you and your entire lineage, for amidst this generation steeped in wickedness, it is you alone who have proven righteous in my eyes. Take with you 7 pairs of each animal deemed pure and unblemished, and 2 pairs of those considered unclean. Gather also 7 pairs of every species of bird, both male and female, so that their kind may flourish once more upon the rejuvenated earth. In a mere 7 days, I shall unleash a deluge of rain upon the earth, a relentless torrent that shall persist for 40 days and 40 nights. I shall expunge from the face of the earth every living creature that I have brought into being. And Noah, unwavering in his faith, executed every command with utmost precision, mirroring the Lord's divine will. Noah, by this time, had reached the venerable age of 600 years when the cataclysmic floodwaters engulfed the earth. Guided by divine decree, Noah, accompanied by his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives, sought refuge within the ark, a sanctuary against the impending deluge. In pairs, creatures both pure and impure, birds of every feather, and all that crept upon the earth, male and female, converged upon Noah, entering the ark as the Almighty had ordained. As the final grains of sand slipped through the hourglass of the 7 days, the heavens unleashed their fury upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's earthly sojourn, precisely on the 17th day of the 2nd month, a cataclysmic symphony of destruction commenced. The subterranean reservoirs of the great deep ruptured, unleashing their watery contents with unrestrained force. Simultaneously, the celestial floodgates swung open and torrential rain cascaded upon the earth, a relentless downpour persisting for 40 days and 40 nights. On that very day, Noah, together with his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth his wife, and their wives, crossed the threshold into the ark. With them came representatives of every creature imaginable. Wild beasts in all their untamed glory, domesticated livestock, the myriad creatures that crawl upon the earth, and birds of every conceivable species, all winged and wondrous. Pairs of all living beings, imbued with the very breath of life, sought out Noah and entered the ark's protective embrace. Every creature, male and female, of all living things, entered the ark as the Almighty had commanded Noah. Then, with a final, decisive act, the Lord himself sealed the entrance, securing Noah and his precious cargo within. For 40 unrelenting days, the deluge continued its assault upon the earth. As the waters swelled, the ark, a vessel of hope amidst the chaos, was lifted from its moorings, soaring above the devastated landscape. The waters continued their inexorable climb, rising higher and higher, until they had submerged the highest peaks of the mountains, completely obscuring them from view beneath a watery shroud. The waters rose to such a degree that they crested over the mountains, exceeding their summits by more than 20 feet. Every living thing that moved upon the earth met its end. Birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarmed the earth, and all of mankind perished. Everything on dry land that possessed the breath of life in its nostrils succumbed to the watery grave. Every living thing on the face of the earth was obliterated. Only Noah and those within the ark remained, spared from the universal devastation. The waters maintained their dominance over the earth for 150 days. Chapter 8. But God, in his infinite mercy, remembered Noah and the myriad creatures, both wild and domesticated, that shared his refuge within the ark. He summoned a mighty wind and sent it sweeping across the face of the earth, initiating the slow, arduous process of the water's recession. The subterranean springs, once the source of the cataclysm, were now sealed shut, and the floodgates of the heavens ceased their relentless downpour. The waters gradually began to recede from the earth, a slow and painstaking retreat. At the conclusion of the 150 days, the waters had diminished significantly, and on the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest upon the majestic peaks of the mountains of Ararat. The waters continued to abate gradually until the first day of the 10th month, when the tips of the mountains finally emerged from their watery prison, a hopeful sign of the world's slow rebirth. After a period of 40 days had elapsed, Noah, eager to ascertain the state of the world beyond the ark's confines, opened a window he had constructed within the vessel and released a raven into the vast expanse. The raven, a creature of habit, continued to fly back and forth, neither finding a suitable perch nor returning to the ark, until the waters had completely vanished from the earth. Then, Noah released a dove, hoping it would provide more definitive news regarding the recession of the floodwaters from the surface of the land. But the dove, unable to find a resting place for its weary feet amidst the all-encompassing water, returned to Noah in the ark. Noah, with gentle hands, reached out and retrieved the dove, bringing it back to safety within the ark's embrace. He waited 7 more days, exercising patience in the face of uncertainty, and then once again sent the dove forth from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, it carried in its beak a freshly plucked olive leaf, a vibrant symbol of renewed life and hope amidst the desolation. Noah, his heart filled with cautious optimism, recognized this as a sign that the waters had indeed receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out once more. This time, the dove did not return, confirming that it had found a suitable habitat and the earth was once again habitable. By the first day of the 1st month of Noah's 601st year, the water had completely vanished from the earth's surface. Noah, with anticipation in his heart, removed the covering from the ark, revealing a landscape slowly emerging from its watery grave, a testament to resilience and the promise of renewal. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth had reached a state of complete dryness, ready to welcome back its inhabitants and begin anew. Then, the voice of God resonated through the ark. Emerge from the ark, Noah, you and your wife, your sons and their wives. Release every living creature that has sought refuge with you, the birds, the animals, and all that crawls upon the earth, so that they may repopulate the earth, multiply, and thrive in abundance. Noah, ever obedient, emerged from the ark, followed by his sons, his wife, and their wives. Every creature, great and small, that had sought sanctuary within the ark, the animals, the creeping things, and the birds of the air poured forth in a vibrant tapestry of life, each according to its kind. Then, in an act of profound gratitude, Noah constructed an altar dedicated to the Lord. From among the clean animals and the pure birds, he selected offerings and offered them as burnt sacrifices upon the altar, a fragrant expression of his thankfulness. The Lord, his senses filled with the pleasing aroma, spoke within his heart. Never again shall I curse the ground on account of mankind, even though the inclination of his heart is prone to evil from his youth. Never again shall I obliterate all living creatures as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seedtime and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, Day and night shall never cease. Chapter 9. Then God bestowed his blessings upon Noah and his sons, uttering words of promise and hope. Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. The dread and fear of you shall fall upon every beast of the earth, every bird of the air, every creature that crawls upon the ground, and upon all the fish of the sea. They are delivered into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. Just as I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, even at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. Be ye fruitful and multiply. Bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. Then God spoke to Noah and his sons, establishing a covenant that would endure for generations to come. Behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the fowl, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God declared, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud. And I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. So God said to Noah, This is the token of the covenant, which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. The sons of Noah who emerged from the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from them the whole earth was populated. Noah, a man of the soil, began to cultivate the land, planting a vineyard with his own hands. One day, after partaking of the fruit of his labor, he became intoxicated and lay uncovered within his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, beheld his father's nakedness and shared this sight with his brothers, Shem and Japheth, who were outside. Shem and Japheth, with reverence and respect, took a garment and, walking backward so as not to gaze upon their father's exposed form, covered Noah. When Noah awoke from his drunken stupor and learned of his youngest son's indiscretion, he proclaimed, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. He also said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. After the flood, Noah lived for 350 years, extending his lifespan to a remarkable 950 years before finally succumbing to the embrace of death. Chapter 10. This is the account of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, who themselves bore sons after the great flood. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Rodanim. From these descended the maritime peoples, spreading across the earth into their respective territories, each with its own distinct clan and language. The sons of Ham: Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush: Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, and Sabteka. The sons of Rama: Sheba and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod, who rose to become a mighty warrior upon the earth. He was a renowned hunter before the Lord, and it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The initial centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh, all located in the land of Shinar. From that land he ventured into Assyria, where he constructed the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth-ir, Kala, and Rezin, which lies between Nineveh and Kala, the great city. Mizraim fathered the Ludites, Anamites, Leobites, Naphshuhites, Pathrusites, Casluhites, from whom the Philistines originated, and the Caphtorites. Canaan fathered Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, as well as the Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Archites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zemarites, and Hamathites. Later, the Canaanite clans dispersed, extending their borders from Sidon towards Gerar, as far as Gaza, and then towards Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim as far as Lasha. These were the descendants of Ham, organized according to their clans and languages, within their respective territories and nations. Sons were also born to Shem, the elder brother of Japheth, and the ancestor of all the descendants of Eber. The sons of Shem: Elam, Ashur, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram: Uzi, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arpachshad fathered Shelah, and Shelah fathered Eber. 2 sons were born to Eber. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan fathered Almodad, Shalef, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. The region where they lived stretched from Mesha towards Sephar, in the eastern hill country. These were the sons of Shem, organized according to their clans and languages, within their respective territories and nations. These were the clans descended from Noah's sons, tracing their lineage within their respective nations. From these families, the nations spread across the face of the earth after the great flood, each with its unique identity and destiny. Chapter 11. In the early days, the entire world shared a single language and a common way of speaking. As people migrated eastward, they discovered a plain in Shinar and settled there. Drawn to its fertile lands and open horizons, they began to communicate with one another, expressing a shared ambition that resonated within their hearts. "Come," they said, "let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly, transforming raw clay into durable building blocks." They replaced stone with brick and used tar as mortar, demonstrating their ingenuity and resourcefulness in the absence of traditional materials. Inspired by a grand vision, they continued to discuss their ambitious plans. "Come," they declared, "let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, a monument to our collective power and ingenuity. Let us make a name for ourselves, ensuring our legacy endures for generations to come, lest we be scattered across the face of the whole earth, our unity fractured and our accomplishments forgotten." But the Lord, observing their endeavors from his celestial vantage point, descended from the heavens to witness the city and the tower that mankind was constructing. The Lord, recognizing the potential consequences of their united ambition, spoke with divine wisdom. "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this," he said, "then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Their collective will, unimpeded by communication barriers, will enable them to achieve feats beyond imagination, potentially challenging the very order of creation." Concerned by the implications of their unified purpose, the Lord devised a plan to curb their ambition. "Come," he said, "let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. By introducing linguistic diversity, we will sow the seeds of discord and hinder their ability to cooperate effectively, thus preventing them from completing their ambitious project." So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, disrupting their shared endeavors and forcing them to abandon their construction of the city. That is why the place was called Babel, for there the Lord confused the language of the whole world, introducing a multitude of tongues and dialects that fragmented human communication. From there, the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth, dispersing them into different regions and establishing distinct communities, each defined by its unique language and culture. This is the account of Shem, tracing his lineage and descendants through the generations. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arpachshad. And after he became the father of Arpachshad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters, extending his lineage and contributing to the repopulation of the earth. When Arpachshad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arpachshad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. And after he became the father of Serug, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Serah lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah had lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. This is the account of Terah and his descendants, tracing their lineage and contributions to the unfolding history of humanity. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran became the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans, in the land of his birth, leaving behind a legacy that would be carried on by his descendants. Abram and Nahor both married, establishing families and continuing the cycle of life. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was barren, and she had no children, a source of sadness and concern for Abram and his family. Terah, demonstrating his paternal concern, took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there, finding a place to rest and regroup before continuing their journey. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran, marking the end of his earthly journey and leaving his descendants to carry on his legacy. Chapter 12. The Lord had spoken to Abram, issuing a divine command that would alter the course of his life and shape the destiny of generations to come. Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. So Abram, with unwavering faith and obedience, left his homeland as the Lord had instructed him, venturing into the unknown with hope and expectation in his heart. Lot, demonstrating his loyalty and companionship, went with him, sharing in Abram's journey and destiny. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran, leaving behind his familiar surroundings and embracing the call of the divine. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, trusting in the Lord's guidance and provision. After a long and arduous journey, they arrived in the land of Canaan, a land promised to Abram and his descendants. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem, a significant landmark that marked the beginning of his new life in Canaan. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land, a reminder that Abram would need to establish his presence and claim his inheritance in the midst of an existing population. The Lord appeared to Abram, confirming his promise and assuring him of his unwavering support. To your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Lord, an act of gratitude and worship, acknowledging the divine source of his blessings and reaffirming his commitment to the Lord. From there he went on toward the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent, establishing a temporary home between Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord, demonstrating his devotion and seeking the Lord's favor in his new surroundings. Then Abram set out and continued toward the Negev, venturing into the southern region of Canaan in search of suitable land and resources for his growing household. Now there was a famine in the land, a harsh reality that threatened their survival and tested their faith. Abram, faced with the scarcity of food and water, went down to Egypt to live there for a while, seeking refuge and sustenance in the more fertile land. The famine was severe, and Abram recognized the need to take decisive action to ensure the survival of his family and possessions. As he was about to enter Egypt, Abram, anticipating the potential dangers that lay ahead, spoke to his wife Sarai, sharing his concerns and devising a plan to protect her and himself. "I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife.' Then they will kill me but will let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you." When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that she was a very beautiful woman, admiring her grace and charm. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, extolling her beauty and recommending that she be brought into the royal household. Sarai was taken into his palace, becoming a temporary member of the Egyptian court. He treated Abram well for her sake, showering him with gifts and favors, believing him to be her brother. And Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, men servants, and maid servants and camels, accumulating wealth and possessions as a result of Pharaoh's generosity. But the Lord, intervening in the affairs of mankind, inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household, revealing the deception and protecting Sarai from harm. The divine intervention served as a warning and a sign of the Lord's power and justice. So Pharaoh, realizing the truth and fearing the consequences of his actions, summoned Abram. "What have you done to me?" he demanded, expressing his anger and disappointment. "Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say, 'She is my sister,' so that I took her to be my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go." Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, instructing them to escort him and his family safely out of Egypt, returning all the possessions he had acquired. They sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had, ensuring their safe passage and avoiding any further conflict. Chapter 13. So Abram went up from Egypt to the Negev, returning to the land of Canaan with his wife and everything he had, including the wealth he had accumulated in Egypt. Lot went with him, continuing to share in Abram's journey and destiny. Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold, demonstrating the Lord's blessing and provision in his life. From the Negev he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai where his tent had been earlier and where he had first built an altar, remembering his previous encounters with the Lord and reaffirming his commitment to him. There Abram called on the name of the Lord, worshiping him and seeking his guidance. Now Lot, who was moving about with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, accumulating possessions and establishing his own independent household. But the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together, leading to potential conflicts and resource scarcity. And quarreling arose between Abram's herdsmen and the herdsmen of Lot, as they competed for grazing land and water resources. The Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land at that time, adding to the complexity of the situation and the potential for conflict. So Abram, seeking to maintain peace and harmony, said to Lot, "Let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herdsmen and mine, for we are brothers. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left." Lot looked up and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan was well watered, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt toward Zoar. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, when the region was flourishing and prosperous. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan, attracted by its fertile land and abundant resources, and set out toward the east, separating himself from Abram and establishing his own destiny. The two men parted company, each pursuing his own path and seeking his own fortune. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near. Sodom, however, was a place steeped in wickedness. The inhabitants were known for their profound and blatant sins against the Lord, their actions an open defiance of divine law. The Lord, witnessing Abram's solitary state after Lot's departure, spoke to him, offering comfort and a promise of immeasurable bounty. "Lift up your eyes from where you are," the Lord commanded, "and look north and south, east and west. All the land that you see, I will give to you and your offspring forever." The divine voice continued, resonating with power and assurance. "I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. Go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you." Obedient to the Lord's command, Abram relocated his tents, journeying to the vicinity of the great trees of Mamre at Hebron. There, in a gesture of unwavering faith and gratitude, he constructed an altar to the Lord, a testament to his devotion and a focal point for future worship. Chapter 14. In those days, a coalition of kings emerged, poised for conflict and driven by ambition. Amraphel, king of Shinar; Arioch, king of Elasa; Kedorlaomer, king of Elam; and Tidal, king of Goyim, united their forces and marched to war against the kings of the cities of the plain. Their targets were Bera, king of Sodom; Bersha, king of Gomorrah; Shernab, king of Admah; Shemeber, king of Zeboim; and the king of Bela, that is, Zor. These 5 kings had formed an alliance, joining forces in the valley of Siddim, near the Salt Sea. For 12 years they had been vassals, subject to the dominion of Kedorlaomer. But in the 13th year, they rebelled, casting off the yoke of Elamite rule. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and his allied kings retaliated, launching a devastating campaign throughout the region. They routed the Rephates in Ashtaroth Karnaim, crushed the Zuzites in Ham, and decimated the Emites in Shave Kiriathaim. They pursued the Horites through the hill country of Seir, driving them as far as El-Paran, near the edge of the desert. Turning back, the invading armies swept through En-Mishpat, that is, Kadesh, conquering the entire territory of the Amalekites, and then turned their wrath upon the Amorites residing in Hazazon Tamar. The kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Belazor rallied their troops and marched out to meet the invaders in the valley of Siddim. There, they arrayed their battle lines against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam; Tidal, king of Goyim; Amraphel, king of Shinar; and Arioch, king of Elasa, 4 kings against 5. The valley of Siddim, however, held a hidden peril. Numerous tar pits lay concealed beneath the surface. As the battle raged, the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah were routed, their armies scattered in disarray. Some of their soldiers, in their desperate flight, plunged into the treacherous tar pits, sinking into the sticky abyss. The survivors fled to the hills, seeking refuge from the advancing enemy. The victorious kings seized all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah, plundering their wealth and carrying off their food supplies. They also captured Lot, Abram's nephew, along with his possessions, as he was living in Sodom at the time. But one man escaped the carnage and fled to Abram the Hebrew, bringing news of the devastating defeat and Lot's capture. Abram was living near the great trees of Mamre the Amorite, a brother of Eshcol and Aner, all of whom were allied with Abram. Upon hearing that his kinsman had been taken captive, Abram's heart stirred with righteous anger and determination. He swiftly mustered his 318 trained men, born in his household and fiercely loyal to him. They set out in pursuit of the invading armies, pressing onward as far as Dan. Under the cover of darkness, Abram divided his forces and launched a surprise attack. The invaders, overconfident and laden with plunder, were caught off guard and routed. Abram pursued them relentlessly, driving them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus. He recovered all the stolen goods, including the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah. Most importantly, he brought back his nephew Lot, along with his family and all his possessions, as well as the women and other people who had been captured. After Abram's triumphant return from defeating Kedorlaomer and his allied kings, the king of Sodom emerged to meet him in the valley of Shave, that is, the King's Valley, seeking to express his gratitude. At the same time, Melchizedek, king of Salem, a priest of God Most High, came forward bearing bread and wine, symbols of blessing and communion. He approached Abram and bestowed upon him a divine blessing. "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, Creator of heaven and earth," Melchizedek proclaimed. "And blessed be God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand." In recognition of Melchizedek's priestly authority and divine blessing, Abram gave him a tenth of everything he had recovered. The king of Sodom, eager to reward Abram for his valor, then made a proposition. "Give me the people and keep the goods for yourself." But Abram, unwavering in his integrity and mindful of the Lord's favor, refused to profit from the misfortune of Sodom. "I have raised my hand to the Lord, God Most High, Creator of heaven and earth," Abram declared, "and have taken an oath that I will accept nothing belonging to you, not even a thread or the thong of a sandal, so that you will never be able to say, 'I made Abram rich.' I will accept nothing," he continued, "except what my men have eaten and the share that belongs to the men who went with me, to Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them have their share." Chapter 15. After these events, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision, bringing reassurance and a promise of divine protection. "Do not be afraid, Abram," the Lord said. "I am your shield, your very great reward." Yet, Abram's heart was burdened with a deep longing for an heir, a son to carry on his lineage. He voiced his concerns to the Lord. "O sovereign Lord," Abram said, "what can you give me since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus? You have given me no children," Abram continued, "so a servant in my household will be my heir." Then the word of the Lord came to him, dispelling his fears and reaffirming the promise of a son born from his own body. "This man will not be your heir," the Lord declared, "but a son coming from your own body will be your heir." He led Abram outside, beneath the vast expanse of the night sky, and pointed to the countless stars. "Look up at the heavens and count the stars," he commanded. "If indeed you can count them." Then he said to him, "So shall your offspring be." Abram believed the Lord, trusting in his promise despite the seemingly impossible odds. And the Lord credited it to him as righteousness. The Lord reaffirmed his covenant, solidifying his promise to give Abram the land of Canaan. "I am the Lord, who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to take possession of it." Doubt lingered in Abram's mind. "O sovereign Lord," Abram asked, "how can I know that I will gain possession of it?" The Lord instructed Abram to prepare a sacrificial offering, a ritual act to solemnize the covenant. "Bring me a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon." Abram obeyed, gathering the animals and preparing them as instructed. He cut the larger animals in two, arranging the halves opposite each other, but he did not cut the birds in half. As the carcasses lay exposed, birds of prey descended, seeking to feast upon them. But Abram drove them away, guarding the sacrificial offering from defilement. As the sun began to set, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and a thick and dreadful darkness enveloped him. In this state of profound slumber, the Lord revealed to him the future trials and tribulations that would befall his descendants. "Know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated for 400 years. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. You, however, will go to your fathers in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the 4th generation your descendants will come back here, for the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure." As darkness deepened, a smoking firepot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces of the sacrificed animals, symbolizing the Lord's presence and the binding nature of the covenant. "To your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, the land of the Kenite, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephates, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites." Chapter 16. Sarai, Abram's wife, remained barren, unable to conceive. But she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar. Driven by a desperate desire to fulfill the promise of offspring, Sarai proposed a plan to Abram. "The Lord has kept me from having children," she said. "Go sleep with my maidservant." Perhaps I can build a family through her. Abram, swayed by Sarai's plea, agreed to her proposal. After Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarai his wife took her Egyptian maidservant Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. When Hagar realized she was pregnant, she began to look down upon her mistress, treating her with contempt. Sarai, stung by Hagar's change in attitude, blamed Abram for the situation. "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering," Sarai said to Abram. "I put my servant in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me." Abram, unwilling to intervene in the conflict between the two women, gave Sarai permission to deal with Hagar as she saw fit. "Your servant is in your hands," Abram said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Sarai, now empowered, subjected Hagar to harsh treatment, making her life unbearable. Driven to desperation, Hagar fled from Sarai's presence, seeking refuge in the wilderness. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert, the spring that is beside the road to Shur. "Hagar, servant of Sarai?" the angel asked. "Where have you come from, and where are you going?" "I'm running away from my mistress Sarai," she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her. I will so increase your descendants that they will be too numerous to count." "You are now with child," the angel of the Lord said to her, "and you will have a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers." Hagar, overwhelmed by this divine encounter, gave a name to the Lord who spoke to her, acknowledging his omniscience and compassion. "You are the God who sees me," Hagar declared. For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That is why the well was called Bir Lahai Roi, meaning well of the living one who sees me. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. Chapter 17. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him again, reaffirming his covenant and revealing his divine nature. "I am God Almighty," the Lord declared. "Walk before me and be blameless. I will confirm my covenant between me and you and will greatly increase your numbers." Abram, humbled by the Lord's presence, fell face down in reverence. "As for me, this is my covenant with you," God said to him. "You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham, for I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you for the generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you. The whole land of Canaan, where you are now an alien, I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you, and I will be their God. As for you," God said to Abraham, "you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you for the generations to come. This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. For the generations to come, every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or bought with money from a foreigner, those who are not your offspring. Whether born in your household or bought with your money, they must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in the flesh will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. As for Sarah your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her." Abraham fell face down, overwhelmed with a mixture of disbelief and joy. He laughed to himself, questioning the possibility of having a child at his advanced age and Sarah's. Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? He thought. Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. When he had finished speaking with Abraham, God went up from him. On that very day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and all those born in his household or bought with his money, every male in his household, and circumcised them as God told him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. Abraham and his son Ishmael were both circumcised on that same day. And every male in Abraham's household, including those born in his household or bought from a foreigner, was circumcised with him. Chapter 18. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre, while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way now that you have come to your servant. Very well, they answered. Do as you say. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. Quick, he said. Get 3 seahs of fine flour and knead it and bake some bread. Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice, tender calf and gave it to a servant, who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree, attending to their needs with humble hospitality. Where is your wife Sarah? They asked him. There in the tent, he said. Then the Lord said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, After I am worn out and my master is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh and say, Will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. Yes, you did laugh. When the men got up to leave, they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Then the Lord said, Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? If I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Then Abraham spoke up again. Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city because of 5 people? If I find 45 there, he said, I will not destroy it. Once again he spoke to him. What if only 40 are found there? For the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there? I will not do it if I find 30 there. Abraham said, Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there? For the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. Then he said, May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there? For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. Chapter 19. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered. We will spend the night in the square. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of our way, they replied. And they said, This fellow came here as an alien, and now he wants to play the judge. We'll treat you worse than them. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. The 2 men said to Lot, Do you have anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons or daughters, or anyone else in this city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters. Hurry and get out of this place because the Lord is about to destroy the city. But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, Hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished. When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and of his 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, Flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away. But Lot said to them, No, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. Shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me and I'll die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared, he said to him. Very well. I will grant this request to I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly because I cannot do anything until you reach it. That is why the town was called Zor. By the time Lot reached Zor, the sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, including all those living in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plain, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land like smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot had lived. Lot and his 2 daughters left Zor and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger, Our father is old, then there is no man around here to lie with us, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine and then lie with him and preserve our family line through our father. That night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and lay with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I lay with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and lie with him so we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went and lay with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ammi. He is the father of the Ammonites of today. Chapter 20. Now Abraham moved on from there into the region of the Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For a while he stayed in Ger. And there Abraham said to his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Then Amalek, king of Ger, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Amalek in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Now Amalek had not gone near her. So he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'? And didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'? I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all yours will die." Early the next morning, Amalek summoned all his officials, and when he told them all that had happened, they were very much afraid. Then Amalek called Abraham in and said, "What have you done to us? How have I wronged you that you have brought such great guilt upon me in my kingdom? You have done things to me that should not be done." And Amalek asked Abraham, "What was your reason for doing this?" Abraham replied, "I said to myself, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, 'This is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, he is my brother.'" Then Amalek brought sheep and cattle and male and female slaves and gave them to Abraham. And he returned Sarah his wife to him. And Amalek said, "My land is before you. Live wherever you like." To Sarah he said, "I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Amalek, his wife, and his slave girls so they could have children again. For the Lord had closed up every womb in Amalek's household because of Abraham's wife Sarah. Chapter 21. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said. And the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." And she added, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." The child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking. And she said to Abraham, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that slave woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac." The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. But God said to him, "Do not be so distressed about the boy and your maidservant. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the maidservant into a nation also because he is your offspring." Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulders and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down nearby about a bow shot away, for she thought, "I cannot watch the boy die." And as she sat there nearby, she began to sob. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. At that time, Amalek and Phal, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, "God is with you in everything you do. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or my children or my descendants. Show to me and the country where you are living as an alien the same kindness I have shown to you." Abraham said, "I swear it." Then Abraham complained to Amalek about a well of water that Amalek's servants had seized. But Amalek said, "I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today." So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Amalek. And the two men made a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock. And Amalek asked Abraham, "What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart by themselves?" He replied, "Accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well." So that place was called Beersheba because the two men swore an oath there. After the treaty had been made at Beersheba, Amalek and Phal, the commander of his forces, returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called upon the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. Chapter 22. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about." Early the next morning, Abraham got up and saddled his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship and then we will come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the 2 of them went on together, Isaac spoke up and said to his father, Abraham, "Father, yes, my son." Abraham replied, "The fire and wood are here." Isaac said, "But where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And the 2 of them went on together. When they reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," he said. "Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." And to this day it is said, "On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided." The angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven a second time and said, "I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me." Then Abraham returned to his servants, and they set off together for Beersheba. And Abraham stayed in Beersheba. Sometime later, Abraham was told, "Milcah is also a mother. She has borne sons to your brother Nahor. As the firstborn, Buz, his brother, Chem, the father of Aram, Kid, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. Milcah bore these 8 sons to Abraham's brother Nahor. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also had sons, Tebah, Gaham, Tahash, and Micah. Chapter 23. Sarah lived to be 127 years old. She died at Kiriath-arba, that is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went to mourn for Sarah and to weep over her. Then Abraham rose from beside his dead wife and spoke to the Hittites. He said, I am an alien and a stranger among you. Sell me some property for a burial site here so I can bury my dead. The Hittites replied to Abraham, Sir, listen to us. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. None of us will refuse you his tomb for burying your dead. Then Abraham rose and bowed down before the people of the land, the Hittites. He said to them, If you are willing to let me bury my dead, then listen to me and intercede with Ephron, son of Zohar, on my behalf. So he will sell me the cave of Machpelah, which belongs to him and is at the end of his field. Ask him to sell it to me for the full price as a burial site among you. Ephraim the Hittite was sitting among his people. And he replied to Abraham in the hearing of all the Hittites who had come to the gate of his city, No, my lord, he said, listen to me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of my people. Bury your dead. Again, Abraham bowed down before the people of the land. And he said to Ephron in their hearing, Listen to me if you will. I will pay the price of the field. Accept it from me so I can bury my dead there. Ephraim answered Abraham, Listen to me, my lord. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. But what is that between me and you? Bury your dead. Abraham agreed to Ephraim's terms, and weighed out for him the price he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, for 100 shekels of silver, according to the weight current among the merchants. So Ephron's field in Machpelah near Mamre, both the field and the cave in it, and all the trees within the borders of the field was deed to Abraham as his property in the presence of all the Hittites who had come to the gate of the city. Afterward, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave in the field of Machpelah near Mamre, which is at Hebron in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave in it were deed to Abraham by the Hittites as a burial site. Chapter 24. Abraham was now old and well advanced in years, and the Lord had blessed him in every way. He said to the chief servant in his household, the one in charge of all that he had, Put your hand under my thigh. I want you to swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that you will not get a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I am living, but will go to my country and my own relatives and get a wife for my son Isaac. The servant asked him, What if the woman is unwilling to come back with me to this land? Shall I then take your son back to the country you came from? Make sure that you do not take my son back there. Abraham said, The Lord, the God of heaven, who brought me out of my father's household and my native land, and who spoke to me and promised me on earth, saying, To your offspring I will give this land. He will send his angel before you so that you can get a wife for my son from there. If the woman is unwilling to come back with you, then you will be released from this oath of mine. Only do not take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of his master Abraham and swore an oath to him concerning this matter. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and left, taking with him all kinds of good things from his master. He set out for Aramah and made his way to the town of Nahor. He had the camels kneel down near the well outside the town. It was toward evening, the time the women go out to draw water. Then he prayed, O Lord, God of my master Abraham, give me success today, and show kindness to my master Abraham. See, I am standing beside the spring, and the daughters of the townspeople are coming out to draw water. May it be that when I say to a girl, Please let down your jar that I may have a drink, and she says, Drink, and I'll water your camels too. Let her be the one you have chosen for your servant Isaac. By this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. Before he had finished praying, Rebekah came out with her jar on her shoulder. She was the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, who was the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor. The girl was very beautiful, a virgin, no man had ever lain with her. She went down to the spring, filled her jar, and came up again. The servant hurried to meet her and said, "Please give me a little water from your jar." "Drink, my lord," she said, and quickly lowered the jar to her hands and gave him a drink. After she had given him a drink, she said, "I'll draw water for your camels, too, until they have finished drinking." So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the well to draw more water, and drew enough for all his camels. Without saying a word, the man watched her closely to learn whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took out a gold nose ring weighing Ika and 2 gold bracelets weighing 10 shekels. Then he asked, "Whose daughter are you? Please tell me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" She answered him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son that Milcah bore to Nahor." And she added, "We have plenty of straw and fodder, as well as room for you to spend the night." Then the man bowed down and worshipped the Lord, saying, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not abandoned his kindness and faithfulness to my master. As for me, the Lord has led me on the journey to the house of my master's relatives." The girl ran and told her mother's household about these things. Now Rebekah had a brother named Laban, and he hurried out to the man at the spring. As soon as he had seen the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's arms, and had heard Rebekah tell what the man said to her, he went out to the man and found him standing by the camels near the spring. "Come, you who are blessed by the Lord," he said. "Why are you standing out here? I have prepared the house and a place for the camels." So the man went to the house, and the camels were unloaded. Straw and fodder were brought for the camels, and water for him and his men to wash their feet. Then food was set before him. But he said, "I will not eat until I have told you what I have to say." "Then tell us," Laban said. So he said, I am eternally grateful for your mercy in preserving my life." Lot pleaded, his voice trembling with a mixture of relief and lingering fear. "But I am simply unable to reach the mountains. The speed of this disaster will surely overtake me before I arrive, and I will perish. Look, over there," he gestured weakly towards the horizon. "A small town lies close by. Let me seek refuge there. It's only a very small place, is it not? If I could flee there, my life would be spared." The divine messengers, who had shown such compassion thus far, exchanged a brief glance. One of them responded, a hint of acquiescence in his voice. "Very well," he said. "I will grant your request. I will not destroy the town you speak of, but you must flee there quickly without delay. I am powerless to act further until you reach its safety." And so it was that the town received a new name, whispered among those few who knew its story, Zor, meaning smallness or insignificance, a testament to the desperate plea that had spared it from destruction. By the time Lot, weary and burdened with grief, stumbled into the gates of Zor, the sun had fully risen, casting a harsh, unforgiving light across the ravaged landscape behind him. Little did he know the true horror that was about to unfold. Then the unimaginable happened. The Lord, in his wrath and judgment, unleashed a cataclysm upon Sodom and Gomorrah. From the heavens, the Lord rained down burning sulfur, a fiery deluge that engulfed the cities and the entire plain. The once fertile land was consumed in an inferno. Every living thing, people, animals, and even the vegetation itself, reduced to ash. But even as the inferno raged, a flicker of defiance, or perhaps simple longing, took hold of Lot's wife. Against the explicit instructions she had received, she looked back. One glance, a single moment of disobedience, sealed her fate. Instantly, she was transformed into a pillar of salt, a stark and silent monument to her regret and a chilling reminder of the price of disobedience. Early the next morning, Abraham, unable to shake the foreboding he felt, rose and returned to the high place where he had stood before the Lord, pleading for mercy. He gazed down towards the smoldering remains of Sodom and Gomorrah, a vision of utter devastation that stretched as far as the eye could see. Thick, Acrid smoke billowed upwards, rising from the scorched earth like the fumes from a colossal furnace. In the midst of this destruction, God remembered his promise to Abraham, the covenant he had made. In his divine mercy, he had ensured Lot's escape from the catastrophe that obliterated the cities where he had made his home. Haunted by the horrors he had witnessed and still fearful of the destruction that might yet reach even the tiny town of Zoar, Lot, accompanied by his 2 daughters, abandoned the small refuge. They sought a new home in the rugged mountains, finding a meager existence within the confines of a lonely, desolate cave. Days bled into weeks and weeks into months. The older daughter, consumed by a growing despair and a desperate longing for a future that seemed impossible, turned to her younger sister. "Our father is old," she began, her voice echoing in the cavernous space. "And there is no man left in this land to lie with us, to continue our family line, as is the custom throughout the earth." A chilling plan began to form in her mind, born out of desperation and the warped logic of survival. "Come, let us get our father drunk with wine," she proposed, "and then lie with him so that we may preserve our lineage through him." That night, under the flickering light of a meager fire, they put their plan into action. They plied their father with wine until his senses were dulled, his judgment clouded. Then, the older daughter, her heart pounding with a mixture of guilt and determination, went in and lay with him. In his intoxicated state, he was unaware of her presence, neither when she lay down beside him nor when she rose again. The next day, the older daughter, her face etched with a strange mixture of triumph and shame, approached her younger sister. "Last night, I lay with my father," she revealed. "Let us get him drunk with wine again tonight, and you go in and lie with him so that we can preserve our family line through our father." And so they repeated their deceitful act. That night, they once more seduced their father with wine, and the younger daughter went in and lay with him. Again, Lot remained oblivious, unaware of the violation that occurred under the cloak of darkness. In time, both of Lot's daughters conceived by their father. The older daughter bore a son, whom she named Moab, meaning, "from my father." He became the progenitor of the Moabites, a people who would, for generations to come, be marked by their origins. The younger daughter also bore a son, naming him Ben-Ammi, meaning, "son of my kindred." He became the father of the Ammonites, another nation born of incest and shrouded in shame. Chapter 20. Leaving behind the desolate mountains and the haunting memories of Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham journeyed onward, venturing into the arid region of the Negev. He settled for a time between Kadesh and Shur, finding temporary refuge in Gerar. Driven perhaps by fear or some long-held habit, Abraham repeated his old deception. He turned to Sarah, his wife, and declared, "She is my sister." Word of Sarah's beauty quickly reached Abimelech, the king of Gerar. Entranced, Abimelech sent for Sarah and took her into his harem. But that night God intervened. He appeared to Abimelech in a vivid dream, his voice echoing with divine authority. "You are as good as dead," God declared, "because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Abimelech, horrified by the revelation and the looming threat of divine retribution, protested his innocence. "Lord," he pleaded, "will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not himself say to me, 'She is my sister'? And did she not also say, 'He is my brother'? I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." God, recognizing Abimelech's genuine ignorance and his fear of transgression, responded, "Yes, I know that you have done this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you and you will live. But if you do not return her, know for certain that you and all who are yours will surely die." At the first light of dawn, Abimelech, shaken to his core, summoned all his officials and recounted the terrifying dream. Overwhelmed by fear, they listened in stunned silence. Abimelech then summoned Abraham and confronted him, his voice laced with anger and disbelief. "What have you done to us?" he demanded. How have I wronged you that you have brought such great guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done things to me that should never be done. What reason did you have for doing this?" Abraham, caught in his deception, offered a feeble explanation. "I thought to myself, surely there is no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides," he added, attempting to justify his lie, "she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother, and so she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, 'This is the kindness you can show me. At every place we go, say of me, he is my brother.'" Shamed and repentant, Abimelech sought to make amends. He brought forth flocks and herds, male and female slaves, and presented them to Abraham. He returned Sarah to him, unharmed and with honor. "See, my land is before you," Abimelech declared. "Live wherever it pleases you." Turning to Sarah, Abimelech offered further restitution. "I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver," he said, "to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, interceding on behalf of Abimelech and his household. God, in his mercy, healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves, restoring their ability to conceive and bear children. For the Lord had closed up every womb in Abimelech's household because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Chapter 21. Now the Lord kept his promise to Sarah, showing her favor as he had said. At the appointed time, Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, precisely as God had foretold. Abraham named his son Isaac, meaning he laughs, a testament to the joy and disbelief that had accompanied his birth. When Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, fulfilling the commandment God had given him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born, a miracle that defied all natural expectations. Sarah exclaimed, filled with wonder and delight, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." And she added, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." As Isaac grew, he was eventually weaned. On that momentous day, Abraham held a great feast, celebrating the child's growth and the fulfillment of God's promise. But the celebration was marred by an unsettling incident. Sarah observed Ishmael, the son of Hagar the Egyptian, mocking Isaac. This act of disrespect ignited a fierce protectiveness within Sarah, a determination to secure her own son's inheritance. She turned to Abraham, her voice firm and unwavering. "Get rid of that slave woman and her son," she demanded. "For that slave woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac." This request deeply troubled Abraham, for he loved Ishmael as well. But God intervened, speaking to Abraham in a dream and soothing his troubled heart. "Do not be so distressed about the boy and your maidservant," God reassured him. "Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the maidservant into a nation also, because he is your offspring." Reluctantly, Abraham obeyed God's command. Early the next morning, he gathered some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He placed them on her shoulders, entrusted the boy to her care, and sent them away. Hagar departed, wandering aimlessly in the desolate desert of Beersheba. As their meager supply of water dwindled, Hagar, consumed by despair, placed Ishmael under the shade of a scrubby bush. She then moved a short distance away, the distance of a bowshot, unable to bear witness to her son's agonizing death. "I cannot watch the boy die," she lamented, her voice choked with grief. As she sat there, overcome with sorrow, she began to sob uncontrollably. God heard the boy crying, his plaintive wails echoing across the barren landscape. The angel of God called to Hagar from heaven, his voice filled with compassion. "What is the matter, Hagar?" the angel asked. "Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation." Then, in a miraculous moment, God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well of water nearby. Overjoyed, she rushed to the well, filled the skin with water, and gave the boy a refreshing drink. God was with the boy as he grew up, guiding and protecting him. He lived in the desert, becoming a skilled archer, renowned for his skill and prowess. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother arranged for him to marry a wife from Egypt. At that time, Abimelech, now recognizing Abraham's favored status with God, approached him, accompanied by Phicol, the commander of his forces. "God is with you in everything you do," Abimelech acknowledged. "Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or with my children or my descendants. Show to me and to the country where you are living as an alien the same kindness I have shown to you." Abraham, ever mindful of his duty and the sanctity of oaths, readily agreed. "I swear it," he affirmed. However, a dispute arose between Abraham and Abimelech concerning a well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized, depriving Abraham's flocks of a vital resource. Abraham complained bitterly to Abimelech, recounting the injustice and demanding restitution. Abimelech, claiming ignorance of the situation, replied, "I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me about it, and I heard about it only today." Seeking to restore harmony and reaffirm their peaceful coexistence, Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech as compensation, and the two men made a treaty, solidifying their alliance and ensuring future cooperation. As a visible sign of their agreement, Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs from his flock, presenting them to Abimelech. Abimelech, puzzled by this symbolic gesture, inquired, "What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart by themselves?" Abraham replied, "Accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well." And so, that place was called Beersheba, meaning well of the oath, because the two men swore an oath there, commemorating their agreement and the resolution of their dispute. After the treaty had been made at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, returned to their land, the land of the Philistines. Abraham, seeking to establish a permanent connection to the land, planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, a symbol of enduring life and prosperity. And there, he called upon the name of the Lord, the eternal God, offering praise and gratitude for his continued blessings. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time, finding peace and prosperity under God's watchful eye. Chapter 22. Sometime later, God, in his infinite wisdom, decided to test Abraham's faith, pushing him to the very limits of his devotion. He called to Abraham, his voice resonating with divine power. "Abraham, Abraham," ever attentive to God's call, replied, "Here I am." Then God delivered the unimaginable command, a request that would forever define Abraham's relationship with his Creator. "Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love," God instructed, "and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about." Abraham's servant began his account, painting a vivid picture of his master's prosperity. "The Lord has showered blessings upon my master, Abraham, in abundance," he declared, his voice filled with reverence. "He has become exceedingly wealthy, a testament to God's favor. He possesses vast herds of sheep and cattle, stores of silver and gold that gleam in the sunlight, and a multitude of menservants and maidservants attending to his every need. Camels, strong and sturdy, carry goods across the land, and donkeys bear burdens with tireless spirit." He continued, his tone softening with affection. "My master's wife, Sarah, though advanced in years, miraculously bore him a son, Isaac. And Abraham, in his boundless love, has bestowed upon this son everything he owns, making him heir to all his vast possessions." A solemn note entered the servant's voice as he recounted a sacred oath. "And my master, knowing the importance of lineage and faith, made me swear a most solemn oath. He commanded me, 'You must not seek a wife for my son from among the daughters of the Canaanites, whose ways are not our ways, and whose land we dwell in as strangers. But you shall journey to my father's family, to my own clan, and there you shall find a suitable wife for my beloved son." He paused, recalling the doubts that had plagued him. Then, overcome with uncertainty, I dared to question my master. "But what if," I asked, "the woman is unwilling to leave her home and family to come back with me to this land?" Abraham, unwavering in his faith, had reassured him. He replied with unwavering conviction, "The Lord, before whom I have walked in righteousness and truth, will send his angel before you, guiding your path and ensuring the success of your journey. He will make it possible for you to find a wife for my son from my own clan, from my father's family. Then, and only then, when you have made the journey to my clan, will you be released from the binding force of this oath. Even if they stubbornly refuse to give her to you, you will be released from your obligation." The servant then described his journey and a divinely inspired encounter at a well. "When I arrived at the spring today, I poured out my heart in prayer, saying, 'O Lord, God of my master Abraham, if it be your will, please grant success to this journey upon which I have embarked. See, I stand here beside the spring, a place of life and sustenance. If a maiden comes out to draw water, and I humbly request a little water from her jar, and if she not only grants my request but also offers to draw water for my weary camels, then let her be the one whom the Lord has chosen, the one destined to be the wife of my master's son.'" He continued, his voice filled with wonder. "Before I had even finished uttering the prayer in my heart, Rebekah appeared, her presence a beacon of hope. She carried her jar gracefully on her shoulder, a picture of youthful strength and purpose. She descended to the spring and drew water, her movements fluid and efficient. I approached her and said, 'Please, give me a drink.' Without hesitation, the servant continued. She quickly lowered her jar from her shoulder, her eyes filled with kindness, and said, 'Drink, and I will water your camels too.' So I drank deeply, quenching my thirst, and she tirelessly drew water for all my camels, until they were fully satisfied." His voice grew more animated as he described his inquiries and the confirmation he received. Filled with curiosity and a growing sense of certainty, I asked her, "Whose daughter are you?" She replied, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor, whom Milcah bore to him." Then, recognizing the divine hand at work, I placed a ring in her nose, a symbol of betrothal, and bracelets upon her arms, adornments fitting for a future bride. And I bowed down low, prostrating myself in worship before the Lord. "I praise the Lord," he exclaimed, his voice ringing with gratitude, "the God of my master Abraham, who has led me on the right path, guiding my steps to find the granddaughter of my master's brother for his beloved son. Now, I beseech you, if you will show kindness and faithfulness to my master, speak plainly and tell me. And if not, tell me also, so that I may know which way to turn, which direction to take on this important mission." Laban and Bethuel, Rebekah's brother and father, responded in unison, their voices filled with a sense of destiny. "This matter proceeds from the Lord," they declared. "We are but humble servants in his grand design. We can say nothing to you, neither one way nor the other. Here is Rebekah standing before you. Take her and go, and let her become the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has clearly directed." Overwhelmed by the divine confirmation, Abraham's servant bowed down to the ground once more, his heart overflowing with reverence before the Lord. He then presented gifts of gold and silver jewelry, exquisite articles of clothing, to Rebekah, a token of his master's esteem and a promise of a life filled with abundance. He also bestowed costly gifts upon her brother and her mother, acknowledging their role in this divinely ordained union. Then he and the men who were with him ate and drank, celebrating the auspicious occasion, and spent the night there, resting in the security of God's providence. As dawn painted the sky with hues of gold and rose, the servant prepared to depart. "Send me on my way to my master," he urged, eager to deliver the joyous news and present Rebekah to Isaac. But Rebekah's brother and mother, reluctant to part with their beloved daughter and sister, pleaded for a delay. "Let the girl remain with us 10 days or so," they requested. "Then you may go." The servant, however, remained firm, his commitment to his master unwavering. "Do not detain me," he implored. "Now that the Lord has granted success to my journey, send me on my way so that I may return to my master and fulfill my sacred duty." Faced with the servant's resolute determination, they proposed a solution. "Let us call the girl and ask her about it," they said. "Let her decide her own fate." So they summoned Rebekah and posed the question to her directly. "Will you go with this man?" they asked, their voices filled with anticipation. Rebekah, her heart filled with a mixture of apprehension and excitement, responded with unwavering resolve. "I will go," she said, entrusting herself to the unknown future and embracing the destiny that awaited her. And so, they sent their sister Rebekah on her way, entrusting her to the care of her nurse, who had nurtured her from infancy, and to Abraham's servant and his men, who would guide her safely to her new home. They bestowed upon her a blessing, a fervent wish for prosperity and countless descendants. "Our sister," they prayed, "may you increase to thousands upon thousands. May your offspring possess the gates of their enemies, and may your name be remembered throughout generations." Then Rebekah and her maids prepared for the journey, mounting their camels and embarking on the long trek back with the man who had come to claim her as Isaac's wife. So the servant took Rebekah and departed, his heart filled with gratitude and anticipation. Meanwhile, Isaac, his heart filled with longing and a quiet expectation, had come from Bir Lahai Roi, where he had been residing. He went out to the field one evening to meditate, seeking solace and guidance in the stillness of nature. And as he lifted his gaze, he saw a caravan of camels approaching on the horizon, their silhouettes stark against the setting sun. Rebekah, too, looked up and saw Isaac standing in the distance. She inquired of the servant, her curiosity piqued. "Who is that man in the field coming to meet us?" "He is my master," the servant answered, his voice filled with respect and admiration. Hearing these words, Rebekah, in a gesture of modesty and respect, took her veil and covered herself, concealing her face from the gaze of her future husband. Then the servant, his mission complete, recounted to Isaac all that he had done, sharing the miraculous story of his journey and the divine guidance that had led him to Rebekah. Isaac, filled with joy and gratitude, brought Rebekah into the tent of his mother Sarah, the very tent that had been a symbol of his parents' love and faith. And he married Rebekah, taking her as his wife. And he loved her deeply, finding solace and companionship in her presence. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death, his heart finding a new source of joy and hope. Chapter 25 details the subsequent events in Abraham's life. Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan. The descendants of Dedan were the Ashurites, the Letushites, and the Lumites. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldah. All these were descendants of Keturah. Abraham left everything he owned to Isaac, but while he was still living, he gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them away from his son Isaac to the land of the east. Altogether, Abraham lived 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died at a good old age, an old man and full of years, and he was gathered to his people. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre, in the field of Ephron son of Zohar the Hittite, the field Abraham had bought from the Hittites. There Abraham was buried with his wife Sarah. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac, who then lived near Bir Lahai Roi. This is the account of Abraham's son Ishmael, whom Sarah's maidservant, Hagar the Egyptian, bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, listed in the order of their birth: Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedema. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these are the names of the 12 tribal rulers according to their settlements and camps. Altogether, Ishmael lived 137 years. He breathed his last and died, and he was gathered to his people. His descendants settled in the area from Havilah to Shur, near the border of Egypt, as you go toward Ashur, and they lived in hostility toward all their brothers. This is the account of Abraham's son Isaac. Abraham became the father of Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel the Aramean from Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was barren. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. The babies jostled each other within her, and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of the Lord. The Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb. The first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau. After this, his brother came out with his hand grasping Esau's heel. So he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them. The boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob was a quiet man staying among the tents. Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Once when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. He said to Jacob, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished." That is why he was also called Edom. Jacob replied, "First sell me your birthright." "Look, I am about to die," Esau said. "What good is the birthright to me?" But Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank, and then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright. Chapter 26 describes a famine in the land, and Isaac's journey to Gerar. Now there was a famine in the land, besides the earlier famine of Abraham's time, and Isaac went to Abimelech king of the Philistines in Gerar. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and will give them all these lands. And through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed because Abraham obeyed me and kept my requirements, my commands, my decrees, and my laws." So Isaac stayed in Gerar. When the men of that place asked him about his wife, he said, "She is my sister," because he was afraid to say, "She is my wife." He thought, "The men of this place might kill me on account of Rebekah, because she is beautiful." When Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelech king of the Philistines looked down from a window and saw Isaac caressing his wife Rebekah. So Abimelech summoned Isaac and said, "She is really your wife. Why did you say, 'She is my sister'?" Isaac answered him, "Because I thought I might lose my life on account of her." Then Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the men might well have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." So Abimelech gave orders to all the people, "Anyone who molests this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Isaac planted crops in that land, and the same year he reaped 100-fold, because the Lord blessed him. The man became rich, and his wealth continued to grow until he became very wealthy. He had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines envied him. So all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the time of his father Abraham, the Philistines stopped up, filling them with earth. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Move away from us. You have become too powerful for us." So Isaac moved away from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham died, and he gave them the same names his father had given them. Isaac's servants dug in the valley and discovered a well of fresh water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen and said, "The water is ours." So he named the well Ezek because they disputed with him. Then they dug another well, but they quarreled over that one also. So he named it Sitnah. He moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. He named it Rehoboth, saying, Now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land. From there he went up to Beersheba. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. Meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerar, with Ahuzzath his personal adviser and Phicol the commander of his forces. Isaac asked them, Why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away? They answered, We saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said, There ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you that you will do us no harm, just as we did not molest you but always treated you well and sent you away in peace. And now you are blessed by the Lord. Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they left him in peace. That day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, We've found water. He called it Sheba, and to this day the name of the town has been Beersheba. When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and also Basemath daughter of Elon the Hittite. They were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. Chapter 27 describes Isaac's old age and Jacob's deception. When Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau his older son and said to him, My son. Here I am, he answered. Isaac said, I am now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your weapons, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like and bring it to me to eat, so that I may give you my blessing before I die. Now Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, Bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat, so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die. Now, my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you. Go out to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, so I can prepare some tasty food for your father just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may give you his blessing before he dies. Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, But my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I'm a man with smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing. His mother said to him, My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say, go and get them for me. So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with the goatskins. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. He went to his father and said, My father. Yes, my son, he answered. Who is it? Jacob said to his father, I am Esau your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing. Isaac asked his son, How did you find it so quickly, my son? The Lord your God gave me success, he replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, Come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not. Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he blessed him. Are you really my son Esau? He asked. I am, he replied. Then he said, My son, bring me some of your game to eat, so that I may give you my blessing. Jacob brought it to him, and he ate, and he brought some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, Come here, my son, and kiss me. So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of heaven's dew and of earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be lord over your brothers. And may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. After Isaac finished blessing him and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. Then he said to him, "My father, sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing." His father Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" "I am your son," he answered. "Your firstborn, Esau." Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me, me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has deceived me. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing." Then he asked, "Haven't you reserved any blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "I have made him lord over you and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father." Then Esau wept aloud. His father Isaac answered him, "Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword and you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck." Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near, then I will kill my brother Jacob." When Rebekah was told what her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, "Your brother Esau is consoling himself with the thought of killing you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides. When your brother is no longer angry with you and forgets what you did to him, I'll send word for you to come back from there. Why should I lose both of you in one day?" Then Rebekah said to Isaac, "I'm disgusted with living because of these Hittite women. If Jacob takes a wife from among the women of this land, from Hittite women like these, my life will not be worth living." Chapter 28. So Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him and commanded him, "Do not marry a Canaanite woman. Go at once to Paddan Aram, to the house of your mother's father Bethuel. Take a wife for yourself there from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples. May he give you and your descendants the blessing given to Abraham, so that you may take possession of the land where you now live as an alien, the land God gave to Abraham." Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way, and he journeyed onwards towards Paddan Aram to meet Laban, the son of Bethuel the Aramean and brother to Rebekah, the very woman who was mother to both Jacob and Esau. Word reached Esau that Isaac had bestowed his blessing upon Jacob and dispatched him to Paddan Aram with the express purpose of finding a wife, one not of Canaanite descent. He also learned that Jacob, in obedience to his parents' wishes, had indeed set out for Paddan Aram. The implications of Isaac's strong command resonated deeply within Esau. He understood, perhaps for the first time, the depth of his parents' disapproval of his Canaanite wives. It dawned on Esau with a heavy heart just how displeasing his Canaanite wives were to his father, Isaac. Driven by a desire to reconcile, or at least appear to reconcile, with his father's wishes, Esau took a fateful step. He sought out Ishmael and took as another wife Mahalath, the sister of Nebaioth and daughter of Ishmael, son of Abraham, adding her to the collection of wives he already possessed. Jacob departed from Beersheba, his heart set on Haran. As dusk began to settle, he arrived at a certain place and decided to stop for the night, as the sun had already dipped below the horizon. Finding a stone, he used it as a pillow and lay down to sleep. In his dreams, Jacob beheld a remarkable sight. A stairway, or perhaps a ramp, firmly planted on earth, its summit reaching into the heavens. Upon this stairway, angels of God ascended and descended in a constant, ethereal dance. And then, above it all stood the Lord. A voice, clear and resonant, spoke. I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. The land upon which you lie, I will give to you and your descendants. Your descendants shall be as numerous as the dust of the earth, and you shall spread to the west and the east, to the north and to the south. Through you and your offspring, all peoples on earth will be blessed. I am with you, and I will watch over you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have fulfilled what I have promised. Jacob awoke with a start, the dream still vivid in his mind. A sense of awe washed over him. Surely, he murmured, the Lord is in this place, and I was not even aware of it. A deep reverence filled him. How truly awesome is this place! He exclaimed, this is none other than the house of God. This is the very gate of heaven. At the first light of dawn, Jacob took the stone that had served as his pillow and set it upright as a pillar. He then poured oil over it, consecrating it. He named that place Bethel, though previously the city had been known as Luz. Then, Jacob made a vow, a solemn promise to the Almighty. If God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am undertaking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's house, then the Lord will be my God. And this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth. Chapter 29 began with Jacob continuing his journey, pressing onward until he reached the land of the people of the east. He came upon a well in a field, where 3 flocks of sheep lay resting nearby. This well served as the watering source for these flocks, its mouth covered by a large stone. The custom was that when all the flocks had gathered, the shepherds would work together to roll the stone away from the well's opening, water their sheep, and then return the stone to its original position. Jacob approached the shepherds and inquired, My brothers, where are you from? We are from Haran, they replied. Jacob pressed further. Do you know Laban, grandson of Nahor? Yes, we know him, they answered. Is he well? Jacob inquired. Yes, he is, they responded. And look, here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep. Jacob observed, The day is still young. It is not yet time to gather the flocks. Water the sheep and take them back to pasture. We can't, they explained, until all the flocks are gathered and the stone has been rolled away from the well's mouth. Only then can we water the sheep. Even as he spoke with them, Rachel arrived with her father's sheep, as she herself was a shepherdess. Upon seeing Rachel, daughter of his mother's brother Laban, and Laban's sheep, Jacob approached the well. Without hesitation, he rolled the stone away from the mouth of the well and watered his uncle's sheep. Filled with emotion, Jacob kissed Rachel and began to weep openly. He explained to Rachel that he was a relative of her father, the son of Rebekah. She, in turn, ran to tell her father. Upon hearing the news about his sister's son Jacob, Laban rushed out to meet him. He embraced him, kissed him, and brought him into his home. Jacob then recounted his story. Laban responded warmly, You are my own flesh and blood. Jacob stayed with Laban for a full month. One day, Laban addressed him, Just because you are a relative of mine, should you work for me for nothing? Tell me what your wages should be. Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah had delicate eyes, but Rachel was graceful in form and beautiful. Jacob, captivated by Rachel, declared, I'll work for you 7 years in return for your younger daughter, Rachel. Laban agreed. It's better that I give her to you than to some other man. Stay here with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, but they seemed like only a few days to him because of his deep love for her. At the end of those 7 years, Jacob approached Laban. Give me my wife. My time is completed, and I want to lie with her. Laban gathered all the people of the place and threw a feast. However, when evening arrived, he deceived Jacob. He took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and Jacob unknowingly slept with her. Laban also gave his servant girl Zilpah to his daughter Leah as her maidservant. When morning came, Jacob was shocked to find that it was Leah. He confronted Laban. "What is this you have done to me? I served you for Rachel, didn't I? Why have you deceived me?" Laban replied, "It is not our custom here to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one. Finish this daughter's bridal week. Then we will give you the younger one also in return for another 7 years of work." Jacob agreed. He completed the week with Leah. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife. Laban also gave his servant girl Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her maidservant. Jacob also lay with Rachel, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he worked for Laban another 7 years. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb. But Rachel remained barren. Leah conceived and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben, saying, "It is because the Lord has seen my misery. Surely my husband will love me now." She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "Because the Lord heard that I am not loved, he gave me this one too." So she named him Simeon. Again she conceived, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "Now at last my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. So he was named Levi. She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "This time I will praise the Lord." So she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children. Chapter 30 commenced with Rachel, envious of her sister, seeing that she was not bearing Jacob any children. She confronted Jacob, "Give me children or I'll die." Jacob, exasperated, retorted, "Am I in the place of God? Who has kept you from having children?" Desperate, Rachel proposed, "Here is Bilhah, my maidservant. Sleep with her so that she can bear children for me, and that through her I too can build a family." So she gave him her servant, Bilhah, as a wife. Jacob slept with her, and she became pregnant and bore him a son. Rachel declared, "God has vindicated me. He has listened to my plea and given me a son." Because of this, she named him Dan. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Rachel exclaimed, "I have had a great struggle with my sister, and I have won." So she named him Naphtali. When Leah realized that she had stopped having children, she, too, sought to expand her family through her maidservant. She took her maidservant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Leah proclaimed, "What good fortune!" So she named him Gad. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Leah rejoiced, "How happy I am! The women will call me happy." So she named him Asher. During wheat harvest, Reuben, while out in the fields, found some mandrake plants, which he brought to his mother, Leah. Rachel, desiring these plants, pleaded with Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." Leah, feeling slighted, retorted, "Wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Will you take my son's mandrakes too?" Rachel offered a trade. "Very well," Rachel said. "He can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes." So when Jacob came in from the fields that evening, Leah went out to meet him. "You must sleep with me," she insisted. "I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he slept with her that night. God heard Leah, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a 5th son. Leah declared, "God has rewarded me for giving my maidservant to my husband." So she named him Issachar. Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a 6th son. Then Leah said, "God has presented me with a precious gift. This time my husband will treat me with honor, because I have borne him 6 sons." So she named him Zebulun. Sometime later, she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and opened her womb. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son, exclaiming, "God has taken away my disgrace." She named him Joseph, praying, "May the Lord add to me another son." After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob approached Laban. "Send me on my way so I can go back to my own homeland. Give me my wives and children for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know how much work I've done for you." Laban, reluctant to lose Jacob's services, pleaded, "If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." He added, "Name your wages and I will pay them." Jacob, considering the offer, responded, "You know how I have worked for you, and how your livestock has fared under my care. The little you had before I came has increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I have been. But now, when may I do something for my own household? What shall I give you?" Laban asked, hoping to keep the terms vague. Jacob replied, "Don't give me anything, but if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb, and every spotted or speckled goat. They will be my wages. My honesty will testify for me in the future whenever you check on the wages you have paid me. Any goat in my possession that is not speckled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark-colored, will be considered stolen." "Agreed," said Laban, seeing a way to minimize his losses. "Let it be as you have said." That very day, he removed all the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the speckled or spotted female goats, all that had white on them, and all the dark-colored lambs, and he placed them in the care of his sons. Then he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to tend the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob, however, devised a plan to increase his own share. He took fresh-cut branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees and made white stripes on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs, so that they would be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink. When the flocks were in heat and came to drink, they mated in front of the branches, and they bore young that were streaked or speckled or spotted. Jacob set apart the young of the flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streaked and dark-colored animals that belonged to Laban. Thus, he made separate flocks for himself and did not put them with Laban's animals. Whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place the branches in the troughs in front of the animals so they would mate near the branches. But if the animals were weak, he would not place them there. So the weak animals went to Laban, and the strong ones to Jacob. In this way, the man grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks, maidservants, menservants, camels, and donkeys. Chapter 31 began with a shift in the atmosphere. Jacob overheard Laban's sons complaining. "Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all this wealth from what belonged to our father." And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude toward him was not what it had been. Then the Lord spoke to Jacob, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the fields where his flocks were. He revealed his decision to them. "I see that your father's attitude towards me is not what it was before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I've worked for your father with all my strength. Yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, 'The speckled ones will be your wages,' then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, 'The streaked ones will be your wages,' then all the flocks bore streaked young. So God has taken away your father's livestock and has given them to me." Jacob continued, recounting a divine encounter. "In breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flock were streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God said to me in a dream, 'Jacob.' I answered, 'Here I am.' And he said, 'Look up and see that all the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled, or spotted. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and go back to your native land.' Then Rachel and Leah replied, united in their frustration, 'Do we still have any share in the inheritance of our father's estate? Does he not regard us as foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us. Surely all the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you.' Resolved, Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Paddan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. While Laban was away shearing his sheep, Rachel, in a move that would have significant repercussions, stole her father's household gods. Moreover, Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by not telling him he was running away. So he fled with all he had and, crossing the river, headed for the hill country of Gilead. On the third day, Laban was informed that Jacob had fled. Enraged, he gathered his relatives and pursued Jacob for 7 days, finally catching up with him in the hill country of Gilead. That night, God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream and warned him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him. Laban and his relatives camped there as well, creating a tense standoff. Then Laban confronted Jacob, his voice laced with anger and betrayal. "What have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and singing, to the music of tambourines and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you. But last night, the God of your father said to me, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's house. But why did you steal my gods?" Jacob answered Laban, "I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, he shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it." Now Jacob was unaware that Rachel had stolen the gods. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, then into Leah's tent, and then into the tents of the 2 maidservants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent but found nothing. Rachel, attempting to conceal her theft, said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period." So he searched but could not find the household gods. Jacob, incensed by Laban's accusation and search, finally lost his temper and confronted Laban. "What is my crime?" he demanded of Laban. "What sin have I committed that you hunt me down like a common criminal? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the 2 of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself, and you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you." Laban, perhaps chastened by Jacob's passionate defense and the earlier divine warning, responded with a degree of conciliation. "The women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He then instructed his relatives, "Gather some stones." They obeyed, gathering stones and piling them into a heap, and they ate there by the heap, signifying a bond of peace and shared agreement. Laban named the heap Jegar-Sahadutha, while Jacob called it Galeed, both names meaning heap of witness in their respective languages. Laban declared, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." That is why it was called Galeed. It was also called Mizpah because he said, "May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me." Laban continued, solidifying the agreement with a solemn pronouncement. "Here is this heap, and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness that I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and this pillar to my side to harm me. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, will judge between us." So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. After taking the oath, Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and invited his relatives to share a meal. They ate together and spent the night in the hill country. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters goodbye and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned to his own place, leaving Jacob to continue his journey, forever altered by his experiences and the divine encounter at Bethel. Laban declared, "Neither you shall cross this heap and pillar to my side with any ill intent, nor shall I venture past them towards you, seeking to do you harm." He continued solemnly, "May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the very God of their father, stand as judge between us, ensuring that we both uphold this covenant." Jacob, in turn, swore an oath, invoking the name of the one Isaac his father revered with awe and trembling. He then offered a sacrifice upon the high ground, a gesture of commitment to this newly forged accord. Following the sacred offering, Jacob extended an invitation to his kinsmen to partake in a communal meal. As the day drew to a close, they rested there together in the hill country. At the first light of dawn, Laban, with paternal affection, kissed his grandchildren and daughters, bestowing upon them a blessing for their journey ahead. Then he turned and departed, making his way back to his own place. Chapter 32. Jacob continued on his path, and as he journeyed, he encountered the very angels of God. Upon seeing them, Jacob exclaimed, "This is indeed the camp of God." And so he named that place Mahanaim, a testament to the divine presence. Determined to prepare the way, Jacob dispatched messengers ahead, entrusting them with a vital mission to his brother Esau, who resided in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. He instructed them precisely, "This is what you shall say to my master Esau. Your servant Jacob declares that he has been residing with Laban and has remained there until now. He possesses cattle and donkeys, sheep and goats, menservants and maidservants in abundance. Therefore, he sends this message to his lord, hoping to find favor in his eyes." When the messengers returned to Jacob, they delivered a sobering report. "We went to your brother Esau," they said, "and he is now on his way to meet you, accompanied by 400 men." Overcome with profound fear and distress, Jacob acted swiftly. He divided the people with him into two distinct groups, separating also the flocks, herds, and camels. He reasoned, if Esau comes and attacks one group, perhaps the remaining group can escape and survive. Then, in heartfelt prayer, Jacob cried out, "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, 'Return to your country and your kindred, and I will prosper you.' I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. I had only my staff when I crossed this Jordan, but now I have become two companies. Please deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear that he will come and attack me, the mothers with their children as well. Yet you have said, 'I will surely make you prosper and will make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted.'" That night, Jacob meticulously selected a gift for his brother Esau from the possessions he had accumulated: 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, and 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. He entrusted these gifts to the care of his servants, assigning each herd to a separate handler, and instructed them, "Go ahead of me, and maintain a distance between each of the herds." To the lead servant, he gave specific instructions. "When my brother Esau meets you and inquires, 'To whom do you belong and where are you going? And to whom do all these animals in front of you belong?' Then you shall answer, 'They belong to your servant Jacob. They are a gift sent to my lord Esau, and Jacob himself is following behind us.'" He relayed the same instructions to the second, the third, and all the servants who followed with the herds. "Speak these very words to Esau when you encounter him. Be sure to emphasize, 'Your servant Jacob is coming behind us.'" For Jacob reasoned, I will appease him with these gifts that I am sending ahead of me. Then, when I meet him face to face, perhaps he will receive me favorably." And so, Jacob's gifts proceeded ahead, while he himself remained behind in the camp that night. During the darkness, Jacob arose and gathered his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 sons, and led them across the ford of the Jabbok. After ensuring their safe passage across the stream, he sent all his possessions over as well, leaving himself alone on the riverbank. It was there, in the solitude of the night, that a man wrestled with him until the break of dawn. Seeing that he could not overpower Jacob, the man reached out and touched the socket of Jacob's hip, and it was dislocated as they wrestled. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob clung to him, replying, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. Then the man declared, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men, and you have overcome." Jacob, filled with awe, pleaded, "Please, tell me your name." But the man replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he bestowed his blessing upon Jacob there. So Jacob named the place Peniel, explaining, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." As he passed Peniel, the sun rose above him, casting a golden light upon the land, and he limped because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. Chapter 33. Jacob lifted his eyes and saw Esau approaching, accompanied by his 400 men. Swiftly he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maidservants. He positioned the maidservants and their children in the front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear, ensuring the safety of his most cherished family members. He himself ventured ahead, bowing low to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother, demonstrating his deep respect and humility. But Esau, filled with brotherly affection, ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and both brothers wept, overcome by the emotions of their reunion. Esau then looked up and noticed the women and children. "Who are these with you?" he inquired. Jacob answered, "They are the children God has graciously given your servant." Then the maidservants and their children approached and bowed down before Esau. Next, Leah and her children came forward and performed their obeisance. Last of all, Joseph and Rachel approached, and they too bowed down respectfully. Esau then asked, "What do you mean by all these droves I met?" Jacob replied, "They are to find favor in your eyes, my lord." But Esau responded, "I already have plenty, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." "No, please," Jacob insisted. "If I have found favor in your eyes, accept this gift from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God, now that you have received me favorably. Please accept the present that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me, and I have all I need." Because Jacob persisted, Esau finally relented and accepted the gifts. Then Esau said, "Let us be on our way. I will accompany you." But Jacob replied, "My Lord knows that the children are tender, and that I must care for the ewes and cows that are nursing their young. If they are driven hard for even one day, all the animals will die. So let my Lord go on ahead of his servant, while I move along slowly at the pace of the droves before me and that of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir." Esau then offered, "Let me leave some of my men with you." "But why do that?" Jacob asked. "Just let me find favor in the eyes of my Lord." So that day Esau started on his way back to Seir. Jacob, however, journeyed to Succos, where he built a dwelling for himself and made shelters for his livestock. That is why the place is called Succos. After Jacob came from Paddan Aram, he arrived safely at the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, and camped within sight of the city. For 100 pieces of silver, he bought from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, the plot of ground where he pitched his tent. There, he set up an altar and called it El-Elohe-Israel. He bowed down to it. His brother retorted, "Do you seriously think you'll reign over us? Do you imagine you'll actually rule us one day?" And from that moment, they harbored an even deeper hatred for him, fueled by his audacious dream and his unabashed pronouncements. Then Joseph, never one to learn, had yet another dream, which he promptly shared with his brothers. "Listen to this," he announced. "I had another dream, and this time, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were all bowing down to me." When he recounted this latest vision to his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him sharply. "What is this dream you've had?" Jacob demanded, his voice laced with disbelief. "Are we, your mother and I and your brothers, actually going to come and bow down to the ground before you?" While his brothers seethed with jealousy, Jacob, despite his outward reprimand, pondered the significance of these recurring dreams, turning them over in his mind. Now the scene shifts. Joseph's brothers were off tending their father's flocks in the vicinity of Shechem, a considerable distance from their home. And Israel, ever concerned, summoned Joseph. "Your brothers are grazing the flocks near Shechem, as you well know. I'm going to send you to them." "Very well," Joseph replied, eager to please his father. So Jacob instructed him, "Go and see if all is well with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring word back to me." With that, he sent him off from the valley of Hebron, a place Joseph knew so well. When Joseph arrived at Shechem, he found himself somewhat lost, wandering around in the fields. A man noticed his bewildered state and approached him. "What are you looking for?" the man inquired kindly. "I'm looking for my brothers," Joseph responded. "Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks?" "They have moved on from here," the man explained. "I overheard them saying, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" So Joseph, ever diligent, set off after his brothers and eventually found them near Dothan, the landscape stretching before him. But they saw him in the distance, a figure approaching across the fields. And even before he reached them, a dark and sinister plot began to brew in their hearts. They conspired to kill him. "Here comes that dreamer," they sneered at each other, their voices dripping with malice. "Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns, and we'll say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what becomes of his precious dreams." But Reuben, the eldest, overheard their treacherous plan and, though conflicted, tried to rescue Joseph from their murderous hands. "Let's not take his life," he pleaded, attempting to reason with their hatred. "Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the cistern here in the desert, but don't lay a hand on him." Reuben's true intention, hidden beneath his words, was to rescue him later and return him safely to his father, Jacob. So, when Joseph finally reached his brothers, weary from his journey, they wasted no time in stripping him of his robe. It was no ordinary garment, but a richly ornamented robe, a symbol of his father's favor, and a constant reminder of their own perceived inferiority. And with brutal efficiency, they seized him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty, a dark and gaping hole in the earth, devoid of water and hope. As they sat down to eat their meal, oblivious to Joseph's plight, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were laden with spices, balm, and myrrh, valuable commodities destined for the markets of Egypt. Judah, ever the pragmatist, saw an opportunity. "What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood?" he argued, his voice cutting through the tense atmosphere. "Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." His brothers, swayed by the promise of profit and the ease of avoiding direct bloodshed, agreed to Judah's plan. So, when the Midianite merchants passed by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern, his body bruised and battered, his spirit broken. They sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites, a paltry sum for a human life. The Ishmaelites, in turn, took him to Egypt, a land of pharaohs and pyramids, a world away from his home. When Reuben returned to the cistern, intending to rescue Joseph, he was horrified to find it empty. He tore his clothes in anguish, a dramatic display of grief and guilt. He went back to his brothers, his face pale with fear. "The boy isn't there," he cried. "What am I going to do?" Then, The brothers, bound by their shared secret, concocted a plan to deceive their father. They took Joseph's ornate robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood, staining it crimson. They took the ornamented robe back to their father, their faces etched with false sorrow. "We found this," they said, their voices carefully controlled. "Examine it to see whether it's your son's robe." Jacob, his heart sinking at the sight of the blood-stained garment, recognized it instantly. "It is my son's robe," he wailed, his voice filled with despair. "Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Then Jacob, overwhelmed by grief, tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, offering words of solace, but he refused to be comforted. "No," he said, his voice choked with tears. "In mourning will I go down to the grave to my son." And so, his father wept bitterly for him, believing him to be dead. Meanwhile, far away in Egypt, the Midianites sold Joseph to Potiphar, a high-ranking Egyptian official, the captain of the guard, a man of wealth and power. "Make way!" And with those words, Pharaoh effectively placed Joseph in charge of the entire land of Egypt, entrusting him with unimaginable power and responsibility. The decree echoed throughout the kingdom, solidifying Joseph's position as second only to the Pharaoh himself. Then, Pharaoh, the supreme ruler of Egypt, addressed Joseph directly, his voice resonating with authority. "I am Pharaoh, but without your word, no one will lift hand or foot in all of Egypt." These words underscored the absolute authority Joseph now wielded, a testament to Pharaoh's complete trust and confidence in the young Hebrew. It was an extraordinary declaration, effectively making Joseph the de facto ruler of the land. Pharaoh, in a gesture of profound significance, bestowed upon Joseph the Egyptian name Zapanath-Paneah, a name laden with meaning and symbolic of his new identity and elevated status. He also gave him Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, a priest of On, to be his wife, cementing his integration into Egyptian society and solidifying his ties to the ruling elite. And so Joseph, now an Egyptian in all but blood, embarked on his mission, traversing the length and breadth of the land of Egypt, observing, planning, and preparing for the years to come. Joseph was 30 years old when he officially entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, a pivotal moment that marked the beginning of his extraordinary rise to power and influence. With the weight of his responsibilities upon him, Joseph departed from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt, personally overseeing the preparations for the impending years of abundance and, subsequently, famine. During the 7 years of abundance, the land, blessed by favorable conditions and divine providence, produced plentifully, yielding harvests beyond anything previously witnessed. The fields overflowed with grain, and the storehouses groaned under the weight of the bounty. Joseph, with foresight and meticulous planning, collected all the surplus food produced during those 7 years of abundance in Egypt, implementing a comprehensive system of storage and distribution. He established vast granaries in the cities, ensuring that the precious reserves would be readily available when the lean years arrived. In each city, he meticulously oversaw the storage of food grown in the surrounding fields, creating a network of strategically located reserves. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain, an amount so vast and immeasurable that it was likened to the sand of the sea. The sheer volume of the reserves defied calculation, exceeding all previous records and expectations. Eventually, he ceased keeping detailed records, as the quantity was simply beyond measure, an overwhelming testament to the land's unprecedented fertility and Joseph's extraordinary organizational skills. Before the years of famine descended upon the land, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, further solidifying his position and establishing his lineage within Egyptian society. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh, reflecting his profound gratitude to God for alleviating his past suffering. "It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household," he said, acknowledging the divine intervention that had transformed his life. The second son he named Ephraim, signifying his newfound prosperity and fruitfulness in the land of his exile. "It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering," he proclaimed, recognizing the blessings that had emerged from his trials and tribulations. The 7 years of abundance in Egypt drew to a close, and the 7 years of famine began, unfolding precisely as Joseph had foretold, a stark reminder of his prophetic abilities and the accuracy of his predictions. Famine gripped all the other lands, casting a pall of despair and hardship across the region. But in the whole land of Egypt, thanks to Joseph's foresight and planning, there was food in abundance, a beacon of hope amidst the surrounding devastation. When all of Egypt began to feel the pinch of the famine, the people, their stomachs rumbling with hunger, cried out to Pharaoh for food, their voices filled with desperation. Then Pharaoh, secure in the knowledge that Joseph had made ample preparations, told all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph and do what he tells you." The people, placing their trust in Pharaoh's wisdom and Joseph's capabilities, flocked to him, seeking sustenance and guidance. When the famine had spread over the whole country, its relentless grip tightening on the land, Joseph, with compassion and a sense of responsibility, opened the storehouses, releasing the vast reserves of grain that he had so carefully amassed. He sold grain to the Egyptians, ensuring that they would not starve during the years of hardship. For the famine was severe throughout Egypt, its impact felt in every corner of the kingdom. And from all the countries surrounding Egypt, people came, drawn by the promise of food, to buy grain from Joseph, because the famine was severe in all the world, its devastating effects rippling across the entire region. Chapter 42. When Jacob, far away in the land of Canaan, learned that there was grain in Egypt, his heart stirred with a glimmer of hope amidst the despair of the famine. He turned to his sons, his voice filled with urgency. "Why do you just keep looking at each other?" he continued, his words carrying the weight of a father's concern for his starving family. "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us so that we may live and not die." Driven by their father's plea and their own gnawing hunger, 10 of Joseph's brothers prepared to embark on the arduous journey to Egypt, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. But Jacob, ever mindful of the dangers that lurked in the world, did not send Benjamin, Joseph's full brother, with the others, his protective instincts overwhelming his desire for sustenance. He feared that harm might come to him, echoing the tragic loss of Joseph many years before. So Israel's sons, save for Benjamin, were among those who traveled to buy grain, their faces etched with determination and their bodies weakened by hunger. For the famine was in the land of Canaan also, its cruel hand gripping the entire region. Now Joseph, having risen through the ranks to become a figure of immense power and influence, was the governor of the land, the one who oversaw the distribution of grain to all its people. He held the lives of countless individuals in his hands, his decisions shaping the fate of nations. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, weary and travel-worn, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground, unknowingly fulfilling the dreams that Joseph had harbored since his youth, the dreams that had ignited the jealousy and hatred that had led to his betrayal and enslavement. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, a flood of memories washed over him, his mind racing with conflicting emotions. He recognized them instantly, but he pretended to be a stranger, concealing his true identity behind a facade of aloofness and authority. He spoke harshly to them, testing their character and probing their intentions. "Where do you come from?" he asked, his voice cold and impersonal. "From the land of Canaan," they replied, their voices subdued and their eyes downcast. To buy food. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they, burdened by guilt and the passage of time, did not recognize him, failing to penetrate the disguise that concealed his true identity. Then, as he gazed upon their faces, he remembered the dreams that had haunted him for so long, the dreams that had foretold his rise to power and their eventual submission. A wave of emotion surged through him, a mixture of satisfaction, anger, and a deep longing for reconciliation. "You are spies," he declared, his voice laced with suspicion. "You have come to see where our land is unprotected." "No, my lord," they answered, their voices trembling with fear. "Your servants have come to buy food. We are all the sons of one man," they continued, pleading their case. Your servants are honest men, not spies." "No," he retorted. His eyes narrowed with distrust. "You have come to see where our land is unprotected." "But," they replied, their voices rising in desperation, "your servants were 12 brothers, the sons of one man who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more." Joseph, his heart pounding in his chest, pressed them further, seeking to uncover the truth and to understand the events that had transpired since their last encounter. "It is just as I told you," Joseph said to them. "You are spies, and this is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of your number to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. If you're not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies." And he put them all in custody for 3 days, his mind swirling with plans and his heart torn between vengeance and forgiveness. On the 3rd day, Joseph, his demeanor softening slightly, addressed them again, offering a glimmer of hope amidst their confinement. "Do this and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison while the rest of you go and take grain back for your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified and that you may not die." This they proceeded to do, reluctantly accepting his terms and desperately hoping for a favorable outcome. As they discussed their predicament amongst themselves, a sense of guilt and remorse began to creep into their hearts. They said to one another, their voices filled with regret, "Surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why this distress has come upon us." Reuben, the eldest, added his voice to the chorus of remorse. "Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood." They did not realize that Joseph could understand them since he was using an interpreter, his presence remaining hidden behind the language barrier. Overcome by emotion, Joseph turned away from them and began to weep, his heart aching with a mixture of sorrow and compassion. But then he turned back and spoke to them again, regaining his composure and reaffirming his resolve. He had Simeon taken from them and bound before their eyes, a symbolic act that underscored his authority and served as a stark reminder of their vulnerability. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to put each man's silver back in his sack, and to give them provisions for their journey, demonstrating a level of generosity that belied his harsh demeanor. After this was done for them, they loaded their grain on their donkeys and left, their hearts heavy with a mixture of relief and apprehension. At the place where they stopped for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey, and he saw his silver in the mouth of his sack, a discovery that sent a chill down his spine. "My silver has been returned," he said to his brothers, his voice trembling with fear. "Here it is in my sack." Their hearts sank, and they turned to each other trembling and said, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them, recounting their harrowing experience and the conditions that Joseph had imposed upon them. They said, "The man who is lord over the land spoke harshly to us and treated us as though we were spying on the land. But we said to him, 'We are honest men. We are not spies. We were 12 brothers, sons of one father. One is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in Canaan.' Then the man who is lord over the land said to us, 'This is how I will know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me and take food for your starving households and go. But bring your youngest brother to me, so I will know that you are not spies, but honest men. Then I will give your brother back to you, and you can trade in the land.' As they were emptying their sacks, there in each man's sack was his pouch of silver, a discovery that filled them with dread and uncertainty. When they and their father saw the money pouches, they were frightened, their minds racing with explanations and their hearts gripped by fear. Their father Jacob, his face etched with worry and his voice trembling with emotion, said to them, 'You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more and Simeon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me.' Then Reuben, in an attempt to reassure his father and to redeem himself in his eyes, said, "You may put both of my sons to death if I do not bring him back to you. Entrust him to my care, and I will bring him back." But Jacob, his heart heavy with grief and his mind clouded by fear, refused to be swayed. "My son will not go down there with you," he declared, his voice resolute and his eyes filled with sorrow. "His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey you are taking, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow." Chapter 43. Now the famine was still severe in the land, its unrelenting grip tightening on the people of Canaan. So when they had eaten all the grain they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go back and buy us a little more food." But Judah, stepping forward with a sense of responsibility and a newfound confidence, said to him, "The man warned us solemnly, 'You will not see my face again unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother along with us, we will go down and buy food for you. But if you will not send him, we will not go down, because the man said to us, "You will not see my face again unless your brother is with you."'" Israel, his voice laced with frustration and his eyes filled with confusion, asked, "Why did you bring this trouble on me by telling the man you had another brother?" They replied, "The man questioned us closely about ourselves and our family. 'Is your father still living?' He asked us, 'Do you have another brother?' We simply answered his questions. How were we to know he would say, 'Bring your brother down here'?" Then Judah, his voice filled with conviction and his eyes fixed on his father's, said to Israel, his father, "Send the boy along with me, and we will go at once, so that we and you and our children may live and not die. I myself will guarantee his safety. You can hold me personally responsible for him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him here before you, I will bear the blame before you all my life. As it is, if we had not delayed, we could have gone and returned twice." Then their father Israel, his heart still heavy but his mind beginning to yield to the inevitable, said to them, "If it must be, then do this. Put some of the best products of the land in your bags and take them down to the man as a gift. A little balm and a little honey, some spices and myrrh, some pistachio nuts and almonds. Take double the amount of silver with you, for you must return the silver that was put back into the mouths of your sacks. Perhaps it was a mistake. Take your brother also and go back to the man at once, and may God Almighty grant you mercy before the man, so that he will let your brother and Benjamin come back with you. As for me, if I am bereaved, I am bereaved." So the men, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation, took the gifts and doubled the amount of silver and Benjamin also. They hurried down to Egypt and presented themselves to Joseph, their fate hanging in the balance. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, his heart skipped a beat, and a wave of emotion washed over him. He said to the steward of his house, "Take these men to my house, slaughter an animal, and prepare dinner there to eat with me at noon." The man, ever obedient to Joseph's commands, did as he was told, and took the men to Joseph's house. Now the men were frightened when they were taken to his house, their minds conjuring up images of treachery and retribution. They thought, "We were brought here because of the silver that was put back into our sacks the first time. He wants to attack us and overpower us and seize us as slaves and take our donkeys." So they went up to Joseph's steward and spoke to him at the entrance to the house, their voices trembling with anxiety. "Please, sir," they said, "we came down here the first time to buy food, but at the place where we stopped for the night we opened our sacks, and each of us found his silver, the exact weight, in the mouth of his sack. So we have brought it back with us. We have also brought additional silver with us to buy food. We don't know who put our silver in our sacks." "It's all right," he said, his voice reassuring and his demeanor calming. "Don't be afraid. Your God, the God of your father, has given you treasure in your sacks. I received your silver." Then he brought Simeon out to them, reuniting them with their brother and offering a glimmer of hope amidst their fears. The steward took the men into Joseph's house, gave them water to wash their feet, and provided fodder for their donkeys, treating them with a level of hospitality that belied their expectations. They prepared their gifts for Joseph's arrival at noon, because they had heard that they were to eat there, their minds racing with speculation and their hearts filled with anticipation. When Joseph came home, they presented to him the gifts they had brought into the house, and they bowed down before him to the ground, once again fulfilling the dreams that had shaped their lives and destinies. He asked them how they were, and then he said, "How is your aged father you told me about? Is he still living?" They replied, "Your servant, our father, is still alive and well." And they bowed low to pay him honor, their faces etched with respect and their bodies trembling with fear. As he looked about and saw his brother Benjamin, his own mother's son, he asked, "Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about?" And he said, his voice filled with affection and his eyes brimming with tears, "God be gracious to you, my son." Deeply moved at the sight of his brother, Joseph hurried out and looked for a place to weep, his emotions threatening to overwhelm his carefully constructed facade. He went into his private room and wept there, releasing the pent-up grief and longing that had consumed him for so many years. After he had washed his face, he came out and, controlling himself, said, "Serve the food." They served him by himself, the brothers by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because Egyptians could not eat with Hebrews, for that is detestable to Egyptians, a cultural barrier that underscored the differences between the two peoples. The men had been seated before him in the order of their ages, from the firstborn to the youngest, and they looked at each other in astonishment, their minds struggling to comprehend the events that were unfolding before them. When portions were served to them from Joseph's table, Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as anyone else's, a gesture of favoritism that heightened the tension and fueled the suspicions of the other brothers. So they feasted and drank freely with him, their anxieties momentarily forgotten amidst the abundance and the camaraderie. Chapter 44. Now Joseph, his mind churning with plans and his heart still wrestling with conflicting emotions, gave these instructions to the steward of his house. "Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack. Then put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack, along with the silver for his grain." And he did as Joseph said, setting in motion a chain of events that would test the brothers' loyalty, expose their guilt, and ultimately lead to their reconciliation. As morning dawned, the men were sent on their way with their donkeys, their hearts filled with hope and their sacks laden with grain. They had not gone far from the city when Joseph said to his steward, "Go after those men at once, and when you catch up with them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this the cup my master drinks from and also uses for divination? This is a wicked thing you have done.'" When he caught up with them, he repeated these words to them, his voice filled with indignation and his eyes blazing with anger. But they said to him, their voices filled with denial and their faces etched with innocence, "Why does my lord say such things? Far be it from your servants to do anything like that. We even brought back to you from the land of Canaan the silver we found inside the mouths of our sacks. So why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If any of your servants is found to have it, he will die and the rest of us will become my lord's slaves." "Very well then," he said, his voice cold and calculating. "Let it be as you say. Whoever is found to have it will become my slave. The rest of you will be free from blame." Each of them quickly lowered his sack to the ground and opened it, their hearts pounding in their chests and their bodies trembling with fear. Then the steward proceeded to search, beginning with the oldest and ending with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack, confirming Joseph's suspicions and shattering the brothers' hopes. At this they tore their clothes, their bodies racked with grief and their minds reeling with shock. Then they all loaded their donkeys and returned to the city, their dreams of freedom dashed and their fate sealed. Joseph was still in the house when Judah and his brothers came in, and they threw themselves to the ground before him, acknowledging his power and submitting to his will. Joseph said to them, his voice laced with anger and his eyes filled with scorn, "What is this you have done? Don't you know that a man like me can find things out by divination? What can we say to my lord?" Judah replied, his voice choked with emotion and his eyes filled with despair. "What can we say? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered your servants' guilt. We are now my lord's slaves. We ourselves and the one who was found to have the cup." But Joseph said, his voice firm and his gaze unwavering, "Far be it from me to do such a thing. Only the man who was found to have the cup will become my slave. The rest of you go back to your father in peace." Then Judah, stepping forward with courage and selflessness, went up to him and said, his voice filled with passion and his eyes pleading for mercy, "Please, my lord, let your servant speak a word to my lord. Do not be angry with your servant, though you are equal to Pharaoh himself." My lord asked his servants, "Do you have a father or a brother?" And we answered, "We have an aged father, and there is a young son born to him in his old age. His brother is dead, and he is the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him. Then you said to your servants, 'Bring him down to me so I can see him for myself.' And we said to my lord, 'The boy cannot leave his father. If he leaves him, his father will die.' But you told your servants, 'Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you will not see my face again.' When we went back to your servant, my father, we told him what my lord had said. Then our father said, 'Go back and buy a little more food.' But we said, 'We cannot go down. Only if our youngest brother is with us will we go. We cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us.' Your servant, my father, said to us, 'You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One of them went away from me, and I said, he has surely been torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. If you take this one from me too, and harm comes to him, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in misery. So now, if the boy is not with us when I go back to your servant, my father, and if my father, whose life is closely bound up with the boy's life, sees that the boy isn't there, he will die. Your servants will bring the gray head of our father down to the grave in sorrow.' Your servant guaranteed the boy's safety to my father. I said, 'If I do not bring him back to you, I will bear the blame before you, my father, all my life. Now then, please let your servant remain here as my lord's slave in place of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? No, do not let me see the misery that would come upon my father." Chapter 45. Then Joseph, his heart overflowing with emotion and his carefully constructed facade crumbling before him, could no longer control himself before all his attendants, and he cried out, "Have everyone leave my presence." So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers, his moment of truth having finally arrived. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard about it, the news spreading like wildfire throughout the palace. Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still living?" But his brothers were not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence, their minds reeling with disbelief and their hearts pounding with fear. Then Joseph, his voice softening and his eyes filled with compassion, said to his brothers, "Come close to me." When they had done so, he said, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will not be plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So then it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household and ruler of all Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and say to him, 'This is what your son Joseph says. God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me. Don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen and be near me. You, your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and all you have. I will provide for you there because 5 years of famine are still to come. Otherwise, you and your household and all who belong to you will become destitute. You can see for yourselves, and so can my brother Benjamin, that it is really I who am speaking to you. Tell my father about all the honor accorded me in Egypt, and about everything you have seen, and bring my father down here quickly." Then he threw his arms around his brother Benjamin and wept, their tears mingling in a torrent of emotion. And Benjamin embraced him weeping, and he kissed all his brothers and wept over them, the years of separation and animosity melting away in a flood of forgiveness and reconciliation. Afterward, his brothers talked with him, their voices filled with wonder and their hearts overflowing with gratitude. When the news reached Pharaoh's palace that Joseph's brothers had come, Pharaoh and all his officials were pleased, recognizing the significance of this reunion and the implications for the future of Egypt. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers do this. Load your animals and return to the land of Canaan and bring your father and your families back to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you can enjoy the fat of the land." You are also directed to tell them, "Do this. Take some carts from Egypt Take carts from Egypt for your children and wives, and bring your father here without a second thought for your possessions, because Egypt's finest offerings will be yours." And so the sons of Israel obeyed. Joseph, remembering the Pharaoh's command, provided them with the requested carts. He didn't stop there. Mindful of their long journey, he filled the carts with ample provisions. To each of his brothers, Joseph presented new garments, a token of reconciliation and a promise of a new beginning. But for Benjamin, his youngest brother, the gesture was amplified. He bestowed upon him 300 shekels of silver, a considerable sum, along with 5 exquisite sets of clothing, a symbol of his unwavering affection. And for his father, Jacob, Joseph sent a caravan of abundance. 10 donkeys, sturdy and strong, were laden with Egypt's most prized treasures. Alongside them, 10 female donkeys carried sacks brimming with grain, loaves of bread, and an assortment of other provisions, ensuring his father's comfort during the journey. With a mix of joy and lingering apprehension, Joseph bid farewell to his brothers. As they prepared to depart, he offered a final piece of advice, his voice laced with brotherly concern. "Do not quarrel amongst yourselves on the way." And so, they ascended from the land of Egypt, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. They journeyed back to their father, Jacob, in the land of Canaan, bearing tidings that would forever alter the course of their lives. "Joseph lives!" they exclaimed, their voices ringing with disbelief and elation. "He is ruler over all of Egypt." Jacob was overcome, his mind reeling from the sheer improbability of their words. He remained silent, stunned, unable to fully grasp the magnitude of the revelation. Doubt clouded his aged mind, making him resistant to their claims. He simply could not believe them. But then, his sons recounted everything Joseph had spoken, word for word, painting a vivid picture of his power and authority. And then, he saw them, the carts, so meticulously prepared, the very symbols of Joseph's love and provision, sent to carry him back to his son. A spark of life, long dormant, flickered within Jacob's weary soul. Hope surged through him, dispelling the darkness of doubt. His spirit revived, rekindled by the unwavering belief in the impossible. "I am convinced," Israel declared, his voice trembling with emotion. "My son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." Chapter 46. Driven by an unyielding paternal longing, Israel prepared to embark on the journey to Egypt. Gathering all his possessions and entrusting them to his family, he set out for Beersheba, a place of sacred significance. Upon arriving in Beersheba, he offered sacrifices to the God of his father, Isaac, seeking divine guidance and blessing for the journey ahead. That night, as darkness enveloped the land, God spoke to Israel in a dream, his voice resonating with power and assurance. "Jacob, Jacob." "Here I am," Jacob replied, his heart filled with reverence. "I am God, the God of your father," he declared. "Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation there. I will go down to Egypt with you, and I will surely bring you back again, and Joseph's own hand will close your eyes." Reassured by God's promise, Jacob departed from Beersheba, his spirit buoyed by divine protection. Israel's sons, with unwavering devotion, assisted their father Jacob, along with their children and wives, into the carts provided by Pharaoh. They also gathered their livestock and the possessions they had acquired in Canaan, leaving nothing behind. And so Jacob and all his descendants, a multitude of souls, made their way to Egypt, drawn by the promise of reunion and the hope of a new beginning. He took with him to Egypt his sons and grandsons and his daughters and granddaughters, all his offspring. These are the names of the sons of Israel, Jacob and his descendants who went to Egypt. Reuben, the firstborn of Jacob. The sons of Reuben, Hanok, Pul, Hezend, and Carmi. The sons of Simeon, Juel, Jaman, Ohad, Jason, Zohar, and Shaw, the son of a Canaanite woman. The sons of Levi, Jershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Judah, Onan, Shelah, Pyz, and Zerah. But Uar and Unan had died in the land of Canaan. The sons of Pyz, Hezron, and Hu. The sons of Issachar, Tola, Pua, Jacob, and Shimron. The sons of Zebulun, Sered, Elon, and Jaleel. These were the sons Leah bore to Jacob and Padanaram besides his daughter Dinah. These sons and daughters of his were 33 in all. The sons of Gad, Zion, Hagi, Shuni, Esbom, Irodi, and Areli. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, and Beriah. Their sister was Sarah. The sons of Beriah, Heber, and Malchu. These were the children born to Jacob by Zilpah, whom Laban had given to his daughter Leah, 16 in all. The sons of Jacob's wife Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. In Egypt, Manasseh and Ephraim were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Petipha, priest of the sons of Benjamin, Bela, Beer, Ashbel, Jirah, Naaman, Ahi, Rosh, Mupim, Happim, and Ar. These were the sons of Rachel, who were born to Jacob, 14 in all. The son of Dan, Cushim, the sons of Naphtali, Jeziel, Guni, Jesser, and Shillem. These were the sons born to Jacob by Bilhah, whom Laban had given to his daughter Rachel, 7 in all. All those who went to Egypt with Jacob, those who were his direct descendants, not counting his sons' wives, numbered 66 persons. With the 2 sons who had been born to Joseph in Egypt. The members of Jacob's family which went to Egypt were 70 in all. Now Jacob sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to get directions to Gone. When they arrived in the region of Gone, Joseph had his chariot made ready and went to Gone to meet his father Israel. As soon as Joseph appeared before him, he threw his arms around his father and wept for a long time. "Now I am ready to die," Israel said to Joseph, his voice filled with contentment, "since I have seen for myself that you are still alive." Then Joseph, eager to secure their future and ensure their well-being, addressed his brothers and his father's household. "I will go up and speak to Pharaoh. I will tell him, my brothers and my father's household, who are living in the land of Canaan, have come to me. The men are shepherds. They tend livestock, and they have brought along their flocks and herds and everything they own. When Pharaoh calls you in and asks, 'What is your occupation?' you should answer, 'Your servants have tended livestock from our boyhood on, just as our fathers did.' Then you will be allowed to settle in the region of Gone, for all shepherds are detestable to the Egyptians." Chapter 47. Joseph, acting swiftly and decisively, went and told Pharaoh, "My father and brothers, with their flocks and herds and everything they own, have come from the land of Canaan and are now in Gone." He then selected 5 of his brothers and presented them before Pharaoh, fulfilling his promise to advocate for their settlement. Pharaoh, intrigued, inquired of the brothers, "What is your occupation?" "Your servants are shepherds," they replied with deference, "just as our fathers were. We have come to live here a while," they continued, "because the famine is severe in Canaan, and your servants' flocks have no pasture. So now, please let your servants settle in Gone." Pharaoh, impressed by their honesty and humility, addressed Joseph, "Your father and your brothers have come to you, and the land of Egypt is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best part of the land. Let them live in Gone. And if you know of any among them with special ability, put them in charge of my own livestock." Then Joseph, with utmost respect and reverence, brought his father Jacob in and presented him before Pharaoh. After Jacob blessed Pharaoh, bestowing upon him a sense of divine favor, Pharaoh inquired of him, "How old are you?" "The years of my pilgrimage are 130, Jacob replied, his voice filled with the wisdom of age. "My years have been few and difficult, and they do not equal the years of the pilgrimage of my fathers." Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh once more, leaving him with a lasting impression of piety and grace. With the formalities concluded, Joseph settled his father and his brothers in Egypt, granting them property in the finest part of the land, the district of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had directed. Joseph, ever mindful of their needs, provided his father and his brothers and all his father's household with food, ensuring their sustenance during the ongoing famine. Joseph's brothers, humbled and filled with remorse, then prostrated themselves before him, their faces pressed to the ground. "We are your slaves," they confessed, their voices barely audible. But Joseph, his heart softened by time and understanding, reassured them. "Don't be afraid," he said, his tone gentle yet firm. "Am I in the place of God, to judge and exact vengeance? You intended to harm me, it is true, and the memory of that betrayal still lingers. But God, in his infinite wisdom, intended it for good, to accomplish what is now unfolding before our very eyes, the saving of many lives from this devastating famine. He turned your malice into a blessing, a testament to his unwavering providence. So then, don't be afraid any longer. I will provide for you and your children, ensuring that you will not suffer want. We are family, bound by blood and now, by a shared destiny." He reassured them, his words carrying the weight of forgiveness and a renewed commitment to their well-being, and spoke kindly to them, offering comfort and solace. Joseph remained in Egypt, a pillar of strength and support for his father's entire family. He lived to the remarkable age of 110, witnessing the growth and prosperity of his descendants, including the third generation of Ephraim's children. Also, in a touching display of familial love and acceptance, the children of Machir, son of Manasseh, were placed at birth on Joseph's knees, signifying his blessing and their inclusion in his lineage. This act cemented the bond between the generations and symbolized the continuity of their heritage. As the years passed and his life drew to a close, Joseph summoned his brothers to his bedside, his voice weak but resolute. "I am about to die," he announced, his gaze sweeping over their faces. "But do not despair, for God will surely come to your aid and deliver you from this land, leading you back to the land he promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the land of your ancestors, the land that is rightfully yours." And Joseph, with unwavering faith in God's promise, made the sons of Israel swear a solemn oath. "When God fulfills his promise and leads you out of Egypt, you must carry my bones up from this place, back to the land of our forefathers, so that I may rest with them in the soil of our heritage." So Joseph died at the age of 110, his life a testament to faith, forgiveness, and God's unwavering providence. And after they embalmed him, according to the customs of the Egyptians, he was placed in a coffin in Egypt, awaiting the day when his bones would be carried back to the Promised Land, a symbol of hope and the enduring covenant between God and his people.